Well, good evening and welcome to the West Ham Weekly. Thank you all for joining me. On a Monday evening, we've got another signing. I mean, goodness me, what's going on, eh? 2 signings in the space of 2 weeks. It's fantastic. But the first thing I want to do is I've got a new microphone. I'm not wearing my headphones, so I want to know if you can actually hear me okay, or if it echoes, etc. So if you can let me know in the chat whether you can hear me okay, I can carry on with the show. All you've got to do is give me the thumbs up, and then I can carry on. No, nothing. I'm pretty excited. I'm blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I'm sure you're excited, Hammerette, but can you hear me okay? I hope you can. Yeah. All right, yeah. Tony's saying good. Right. I'll carry on then, shall I? So welcome to the West Ham Weekly. And it's a full-on show tonight. We've got an awful lot to talk about. You know, transfers that have happened, transfers that may happen, player news, even the under-23s. Thank you, Sean. I'm glad you can hear me too. We've got so much to talk about that, you know, it's going to be quite a full-on show tonight. But let's start with the obvious, shall we? Alphonse Areola, he's finally a permanent Hammer, 5-year deal. Apparently the deal is something like 7.5 million pounds. With all the add-ons, it will get to about 10, 11 million pounds. You know what all these add-ons are like. You know, we've been waiting and wondering why this one wasn't announced sooner rather than later. And we're actually really pleased that that it's all done and dusted. 2 signings in a space of 2 weeks. We're going to get a whole avalanche of signings to come, aren't we? But of course, we've got to put up with all the other speculation that's going on. And now that Chelsea have sorted out their future, apparently they're now in for Declan Rice. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. It's boring, isn't it? You know, hearing about Declan. But I'll bring you an update on everything else. The pre-season started and Mark Warburton is here, etc. So there's a hell of a lot to talk about. So before I do that, why don't we just go into the chat and say hello to people. Good evening to you, Mr. Sean. Another Sean. A more appropriate. Delighted with our business, and yeah, we've got to get to July the 1st. So it's all going to happen, isn't it, Sean? We're going to have players coming out of our ears soon. Good evening to you, Hammerette. We are on a massive roll. Good evening, Neil. How are you? I hope you're well. Good evening, Andrew. Hello, mate. Good evening to you, Sharky. Pashby, I still don't know. I think it's Paul. David and Jacket Gold must be pleased that we've signed our very own nipple. Good evening, Steve. How are you? Andrew, 17 days into the window and we've only signed 2 pairs. Time to panic. Nah, loads of time left to start panicking. Hammerette, how exciting is this? Well, buzzing. Next signing will be a big surprise, though. Might be. You might find a big surprise when I start talking about all our various transfer news later on. Steve, reckon we can get another one Friday? I think so. I don't know. I think we can, but let's see. Good evening to you, Daniela. Looks like Stell's getting us all together to make a grand entrance. I'm here. Good evening, Mr. Bong. How are you? Martin, how are you, mate? Nice of you to join. Andrew, I'm definitely happy. Got an email today telling me to get a season ticket after 9:30 on Friday. Good luck. Good luck. That's fantastic. Hope to see you at the stadium. Pete Gads, good evening to you. One figure JL and LB business should be good and done. Fill up the rest with under 23s. Jesse Lingard. Oh, Jesse Lingard on the left back, and then the rest of under 23s. I think we need one or two. I think we need a couple more than just, well, are we going to get Jesse? I'm going to talk about him later on. Good evening, Black Country. Thank you for joining, mate. I hope you're well. Andrew, again, can't wait. Been wanting one for years, but never in a position. Really happy for you. Really happy for you, mate. I hope you enjoy it. I'm not late. Like I always say, Sean, everyone's always early. Howard, good evening, you beautiful people. Nous sommes massifs. Whoa. Everyone's happy, aren't they? I mean, how happy can you be on a Monday because we've had a sign? That's what West Ham should do for the every Monday from now until the transfer window closes. Only announce signings on a Monday to make us all happy. It makes the whole week go an awful lot smoother, an awful lot better, doesn't it? Black Country, you've been on work plus been on a short break. Good transfer window so far. It has been. I hope you're well, Black Country. Still only 3 minutes late. Is getting better. I'm only 3 minutes late. Thank you for telling me you can hear me. Everyone else was ignoring me, Tony. At least you did. Oliver, a lot better. What? A lot better than you can hear me? Sounds a bit quiet. You on mute. Don't start that. Don't take the P. We can hear you loud and clear. That's good. Thank you very much. Brady not off to Brum. Do you know what? I haven't been really bothered to announce any Brady news because we all know it's crap, don't we? Everyone's wishing for the board to leave and Brady to leave, etc. It's not going to happen, is it, Sean? Tell them it's not going to happen. Anil, can you hear Stel? Sharp haircut. I haven't had I actually need a haircut. I only had it a few weeks ago, but I need another haircut, mate. It's all getting a bit weird up there. Sarif, good evening to you. Thank you very much. Good evening, Frano. Haven't you seen you for a while? I hope you're well. Good evening to Football Memes. How are you? Thank you for thank you for joining. Good evening, Troj. How are you, mate? Kalispera to you, mate. I hope you're well. We've got our holiday booked for Cyprus again in October. Can't wait. It's the best time of year, Cyprus in October. But hey, this isn't a holiday program, is it? Still, it's only a 20-second delay between you saying something and being able to read feedback. Are you winding me up, Sean? I hope you're not. If you're talking about me reading the comments, I usually get about half hour behind. I hope you're joking. Have I got a delay on my voice? I hope not. Anyway, Troj, can we replace Bladu with Margaret Mountford, please? Sean, Margaret Mountford. Good evening to you. Good morning to you, Rhonda and Tony. Love the shirt. You know, it's an old training shirt. And you know what? I started to lose a bit. I put on a lot of weight over COVID, and I started to do a fitness exercise and all that sort of stuff. And I thought, I'll try this on. It fits. It's a nice shirt, isn't it? It's a training shirt. Good evening to you, the best of. Who do you think we will sing? Who do you think we will sing? Who do you think we will sing? I don't know. Brosia next. Don't wind us up, Sean. You know that ain't happening. Lee, howdy to you as well. Can't wait for the season. We are massive. Good evening, Troj. Best goalkeeping depth we've ever had at West Ham, as far as I can remember. I don't know. I'm going to have to think about that one, actually. But, you know, Areola, is he going to be number one next season? I mean, people are now speculating that he actually should be number one. I wonder if Moyes will ease him in. I'm not kidding. I wonder if Moyes might decide. I wonder if Moyes might think, you know what, I'll start with Fabianski and ease Areola in. It wouldn't surprise me. It definitely wouldn't. But yeah, you know, who do you think we will? Oh, thank you, best of. I wasn't sure what you were asking there. Who do you think we will sign? I don't know, to be honest with you. I put on a show earlier on, a pre-recorded show about Danjuma from Villarreal. He sounds like an interesting player. I know there's an awful lot of interest in Brozier as well. And of course, there's Jesse. I'm going to talk about Jesse later on. Conscious Hammer, good evening to you. Hope we don't sign a player every Monday because that means we'll have to wait another week. Well, like I just said, mate, it brightens up your Monday, doesn't it? Good evening to you, Darren. Oi to you. I hope you're well. Good evening, Dennis. Thank you for joining, mate. Much appreciated. Sharky, of course it's lovely. And I'm biased, aren't I? Of course it is. Good evening, Richard. Trot, the thing is, keepers Randolph and Trot and Anang and Kinnear are all off the passes new. Well, heard about Randolph. Actually, he's not in the show. I'm not going to mention him in the show tonight. But I heard a little bit about Randolph going as backup elsewhere. I don't know. Trot, Anang, I think you might be right there. Kinnear, we've only just signed Kinnear, so I'm not so sure. But there's also Hegi, the young Hungarian under-23s keeper, who's a very, very good keeper. Good evening, David. How are you? Nice of you to join. Good evening, Anil. Are both signings first-team players or squad players? I mean, surely Agard is going to be a first-team player, and I would say Areola has earned the right to be a first-team player, hasn't he? Tony, looks like we're getting 6 million for the sale of LA. Best thing is, I thought there wasn't a sell-on. If Sean Whetstone, if you're watching, you can tell us. I thought there wasn't a sell-on clause, but be a nice little earner if he is. Roberts, if you believe all the stories, we're juggling a lot of balls in the air at the moment. You know, like I always say, Robert, when you watch these shows, take every transfer rumor with a pinch of salt, a large, massive pinch of salt. Good evening, Daniel. Evening, Stale. Looks like we're signing players in the alphabetical order. Agard, Areola, and maybe Brojanek. That's a good one. Didn't think of that. That's nice. Hammer it. Fitness exercise, Stale. Is that the lack of alcohol in the break? You know what? It helps. I'm not kidding. Not drinking as much alcohol in the summer season does actually help an awful lot. Trudge, Margaret Mountford was a nice lady who preceded Karen on The Apprentice. Did she? I didn't know that. Sean, Areola took a big pay cut and to join us on a permanent deal. Fair play to him. Big pay cut. I thought Paris Saint-Germain were going to give him a little bit of a little bit of a earner for given that he had 1 year left on their contract. Is that still not happening? What's the big pay cut anyway? I mean, he was on 125,000 a week at under the PSG contract. So I'm guessing he's what, 90 grand a week, 85 grand a week plus bonuses. Darren. Oh, let's get that comment up. Guys, do we need 2 centre midfielders to replace Kral and Noble? Why no news on these transfers and positions? Good point, Darren. And if you keep watching the show later, I'm going to be talking about quite a number of central midfielders that we might be in for. We might also lose Soucek. You know, that his contract is still hadn't been sorted. So we might, we definitely need central midfielders without a doubt. Jay Woods, Paddy Lane is apparently a target for £1 million. I read that earlier. I just didn't have a chance to include that in the in tonight's show. Love what Areola said about us fans, made him feel so at home and welcome. Of course, we're the best fans in the world, aren't we? Shraj, Heggie is a baller. He's a decent young keeper. Good evening to you, Alex. Does Clarence Hugh ever spell proof there? Sean? You have to answer that. You have to answer that one, mate. Has Sean retired? Apparently he has, every now and again. P-Gads, I wouldn't be surprised if Moyes says they need to be eased in slow. There you go. There you go. You got there. Daniela, with the possibility of 50 plus games, everyone's a first team player. Good point. Very good point. Alex, Newcastle want Broja. You tell me a player that Newcastle don't want. Shraj, Danjuma gets me a little excited. After tonight's show, go back to my list of, if you haven't watched it already, I put a little spoiler out about Danjuma earlier today. So after tonight's show, you know, in about 2 hours' time or whenever we finish, go and have a look at the back catalogue and have a look at the Danjuma video I put out. He excites me too, to be honest with you. He didn't excite me when he was at Bournemouth, but all of a sudden he excites me as a player. Lee, just look at our squad. Why wouldn't Areola sign, or anyone for that matter? Morale is high and the players are playing for Moyes. Come on, you Irons. Sean, funniest joke. Yeah, you haven't retired, mate. Howard, Areola felt the love from the fans. Absolutely. We're great fans, aren't we? We're great fans. Hammerette, Broja is overpriced for more than 30 million, in my opinion. Absolutely. But you know what Chelsea are doing? They're doing just like what we're doing. We say Declan is worth 150 million. They're saying Broja's worth 60 million. Of course, they're not worth that much, but it's enough to try and put teams off to buy them. 25 million for Soucek. I'd say a little bit more. I know there's a story out at the moment that if we get 25 million or more, we'd sell him. Why are we so bad at selling players? No sell on with Allaire too. I think if we do sell Soucek, he'll go for an awful lot more than that. Yeah, I thought so. No sell-on clause for Allaire. Ajax refused one. It was a deal breaker. There you go. There you go. So we missed out there again. Kent, good evening to you. Evening, Stout. A striker, wide forward now, please. Are you going to Rangers? I'm confident we will sign Jesse too. I don't know if I'm going to any pre-seasons, to be honest with you, mates. Rangers would be a nice little journey up. Nice little trip, though, wouldn't it? I might tell the missus that we need to go and visit, I don't know, Edinburgh and end up in Glasgow instead or something like that. I don't think she'd be happy, but, you know, might get away with it. Darren, Chelsea with about us regarding Broja and keep us hanging until the last day. It's exactly what I'm going to say later on, mate. Good evening, Garina. How are you? Thank you for joining. Pig, Pashby, anyone else a bit worried about Areola being our number one in the league and Fab becoming our cup keeper, especially if we get to the semi-finals? Do you know what? That's actually a really good point. You know, we want to win something this season. And the irony is that Areola... Oh, look, Areola's been a great servant for us, hasn't he? But it's a good point. It's a good point. Alex, fair enough. They're just one clickbait minute because Soucek then now begging the club to give him a new contract. Clarence Spear just a laughing stock. In fairness, Sean, you're a leave Sean alone. He's actually not a bad person. Overall, he's not bad. Richard, Trotch for sure. Hungarian international Heggie is Fabianski's successor. Yeah, there you go. Is he ready, though? I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the under-23s later on, and if they're ready for first-team football. Heggie's not in that, though. Sean, Brozier should cost us between 20 and 25 million with serious in interest there. That's it. There you go. Exclusive. Thank you, Sean. Foxes are screaming. Good evening to you. Oi, oi to you. I hope you're well. Mark, good evening to you, mate. No sell on for Allaire, sell on for Anderson. Might be waiting a long time for that one. Look, shall we just jump into the show and do the, well, let's do the first part of the show, shall we? Actually, no, before I do that, I haven't spoken about, who have I not spoken about? I haven't spoken about our pre-season has started. Well, that's part of the show, isn't it? Yes, our pre-season started. The players were back yesterday. Those who were not on international duty were back at Rush Green, and Richard Collins was there overseeing them. There is Collins showing Mark Warburton around. Richard Collins is the head of medical services, and he suggested that the first day back was probably the one that the players feared the worst, because they came in for screening, some gym testing, cardiac screening, etc., to review how the players are. You know, they all get a personal fitness regime in close season. And they have to go through that summer fitness regime and then come back and have the test to determine how fit they are, how good they are. They do some cardiovascular training as well around Rush Green and so on. And oops, that's a bit too soon. They do some cardiovascular training as well at Rush Green. And Mark Warburton, I might as well jump to that. Mark Warburton was there to sort of see them and greet them as well. And that was nice to see. Look, Mark Warburton, not a bad sign, not a bad replacement for Stuart Pearce, is he? To be quite honest with you, decent managerial career, 350 matches in all, or just under 350 matches in all. When he managed Brentford, Rangers, Nottingham Forest, and Queens Park Rangers, he led Brentford to the promotion in the Championship and won promotion back into the Scottish Premier League for Rangers as well, and he won domestic cup double up in Scotland as well. His time at Nottingham Forest, okay, not so great. He was sacked in his role there, but he had a number of good seasons at QPR as well. Moyes welcomed Warburton, who joins Billy McKinley, Paul Nevin, Kevin Nolan, and Xavi Valero on the Scots coaching team. And he said he's really pleased to welcome him to the club, and that his experience and fine track record, having managed a number of clubs over the course, will be a massive asset to West Ham United. This puts the club in a good position, doesn't it? Warburton, much respected coach, and this will fill a massive gap that Stuart Pearce left. Now, many people are laughing and going, you know, this is Moyes' replacement in the future. Let's not be so facetious, shall we? I'm sure that's not going to happen. Oh, I don't know why that's there. I didn't take it out from last week's show. Right, friendlies. Pre-season is all now fixed up. We've had a couple of additional games added on. On the 8th of July, we're going to Servette. We're going out to France, aren't we, for pre-season climate training. And our first game, whilst we're out there, we're just over the border, is going to be at the Stade de Geneva against Servette on the 8th of July at 5 p.m. Then we come back to domestic soil, and on the 12th of July, the squad will split into two. At 7 p.m, half the squad will be playing at Ipswich at Portman Road, and half the squad will be playing at Boreham Wood. Now, all right, I know you're all going to laugh and say our squad's not big enough to be split, but they're going to be under 23s in that as well. So let's not be funny about it. On the 16th of July, we go to Reading at the Select Car Leasing Stadium. Is that what they've called their stadium now? Anyway, and then we take a bit of a detour. And I'm really surprised at this, because on the 23rd of July, we've got Luton at Kenilworth Road. But then we're going to go up to Rangers and play Rangers at Ibrox on the 19th of July. And then we end up on the 30th of July. No, as I said last week, no Betway Cup at the stadium this pre-season. Our last game of the pre-season is going to be on the 30th of July at 5:15 at Lens at the Stade de Bollard de Lely. I don't know how you pronounce it, but I'm sure that's close. So there you go. That's pre-season sorted. So that's not a bad lineup. We start off in France and we end up in France as well. Right, let's go into the first part of our show and talk about players, shall we? Because there's quite a few things that are going on with players at the moment. So quite a few players there's an awful lot of rumour about. I mean, not just us buying players, but there's a hell of a lot of speculation about players leaving West Ham United. And let's start off with Nikola Vlasic, shall we? Now, apparently there's interest from Club Torino, which is said to be a genuine interest. But the Italian club want the player on loan, and I think Moyes would prefer to sell the player. I don't know. Sending him out on loan, would that be good enough? And then have him back the following season to see how he fares? I just don't know about this one, to be quite honest with you. He's got a contract with West Ham United till 2026. He's now valued, we bought him for around about £27 million. He's now valued at about the £22 million mark. But apparently, we're looking at even getting as low as 15 million for him. Should we sell him for that little money, or should we send him out on loan? Look, his time, he had decent stats before he joined West Ham United. Let's forget Everton. He was young then. But when he went to CSKA Moscow, he did really, really well there. And now I thought we were buying a player that was going to be quite good for us this season. He made a total of 36 appearances in all competitions, scoring 1 goal and 3 assists in total. He just hasn't done it. Or should Moyes stick with him? I don't know if we should actually let him go out on loan, to be quite honest with you. If we're going to get players in, then maybe, do we regard him as a bit of deadwood, or do we give him another season to see how he fares? It's a tough one. The one thing that Vlasic has constantly said is he's always been played out of position. He wants to play down the middle. That's where he does his best business. And I know players should be versatile and adaptable, etc. But every time he came on, every time he played a game, he was put out wide, either on the left or either on the right. And you saw he struggled. So if Moyes is going to keep him, then maybe Moyes should utilise him in the central midfield role. Next up, Thomas Soucek. And the contract news about Thomas Soucek is that it's still not being sorted. There's much speculation from the player's agent that he's looking to leave the club, etc. And there's a number of clubs that are apparently interested in him. Guess what? Newcastle have now staked a claim in Soucek. Apparently, Man United were being looked at as a possible club. Spurs and other clubs like that. Look, I don't know. And there's clubs abroad as well in Germany and so on that apparently are looking at him too. With a price tag, I mean, someone said £25 million, but my understanding is that Moyes thinks he's worth at least £35 million. If we get £35 million, is he a player that we should let go? Look, 27 years of age. I know he didn't have a great season last season, but you don't become Hammer of the Year one season and then become totally shit the next. For me, I think Soucek is a player that maybe we should keep. I think he adds strength in depth. Try and get something sorted out with him. I don't know how far away we are with the contract that he wants to the contract that he currently has. If Sean is still watching, I'm sure he'll know more than I do. But I think Soucek at the moment is on about, 60,000 a week plus bonuses and so on. And apparently is looking for near on 90. I'm sure we can come to some agreement in between. I know he hasn't had a great season, but I think he's a decent player. Let's not forget, he stopped playing football for something like 2 years. International duty and West Ham United, European football, etc. And Soucek is one of these players that's accustomed to having a winter break. When he was playing, his football elsewhere before, you'd have your winter break. You don't have that in England, and that's going to take its toll after a while. For me, I think he's a decent player. I think I'd like to keep him. Add strength in depth by all means. Someone mentioned it earlier, and we're not getting any central midfielders. I think we certainly should, but I think Soucek should be in the mix. But I guess we'll know sooner rather than later if he's really going to leave West Ham. Next up, Manuel Lanzini. Now, many people have been talking about, Lanzini's going to leave. He wants to go back to River Plate and so on and so forth. Yes, he does. But he wants to go back to River Plate at the end of his career. Look, he's 29 years of age now, and apparently we've started negotiations to extend his contract. We already had a 2-year option on his contract anyway, and it looks like we're willing to trigger that option and sign him for a bit longer. Even if he leaves West Ham United, in 3 years' time, if we trigger that 2-year extension plus the year he's got, he'll still be 31, 32 years of age. That will be enough for River Plate. No disrespect to the Argentinian league, but I'm sure he would be able to go there and do the business at River Plate, even at the age of 32. He's done decently for us. He's kind of resurrected after having his really bad injury spell, didn't he? And he's also been reinvented as well. You know, by not only playing in the sort of the number 10 roles that he usually favours, but also a little bit deeper when he's been asked to do it. He's done it a couple of times, you know, and it's only certain clubs that are teams that he can do it against. And I've mentioned this before. When it's a tougher team, you know, the kind of the Burnley kind of team, you don't want to have Lanzini in there. You need someone a little bit more savvy, a little bit tougher. But when you're playing against the sort of flair teams that have a little bit more space in the middle of the park, that's when Lanzini would gets done really well. I think it's good that we're going to offer him an extended contract. I think that would be fantastic news for West Ham, and of course Hammerette will be more than happy as well. Right, King Arthur. I mean, it depends what stories you want to believe on Arthur Masuaku. He's either leaving definitely, or he's definitely staying, or we're going to buy him out of his remaining contract. Look, if we're going to buy him out of his remaining contract, look how long he's got left on it. He's got a contract till 2024 with a 2-year. I mean, his agent must be fantastic to have got Arthur Masuaku that contract. Contract till 2024 with an option of another 2 years on top of that. I mean, goodness me. Look, I'm not going to beat about the bush. You know, Arthur Masuaku hasn't done it. He had 24 appearances last season, only 11 starts, 1 goal, 1 assist in his whole career, senior career. 237 appearances, 5 goals, 22 assists. Look, everyone's saying, and you've got to make your minds up. You can't look at those stats and go, well, he's a defender, so what do you expect? When everyone then says, well, actually, he's better at going forward, so what do you expect as a defender? Look, he's not. He just hasn't proven himself to be a Premier League footballer. I'd like us to maybe pay him off. You know, I kind of worked out how much it might cost, and I think it would end up costing us something like he's on about 40 odd grand a week. His yearly contract works out to something like 2.3 million pound a year. With 2 years left on it at the moment, that would be something like 4.5 million if we buy him out. And then if we have to negotiate the 2-year option as well, there'll be a little bit more. Look, he's worth about 5, 6, 7 million pounds on the market. If we can get him to go for less, and then that frees up a slot in the squad. That frees up wages. That frees up our ability to be able. We should be buying a left back anyway, regardless. I don't know. I think poor Arthur. You know, he's not had the best of times at West Ham United, and maybe just one has to admit that he's just not a Premier League footballer. Need I go on? I don't know. I shouldn't really, because I kind of feel a little bit sorry for him now. Right, let's see your comments before I move on to the next part of the show. Sean, there are better strikers than Brozier out there. We surely have one sorted before he becomes available. I still don't think to this day that we're actually going to buy a striker. I think we're going to buy an attacking midfielder who can play in the striker role, like Van Juma and other players like that. Sharky, star of Watford joining. I talked about him a couple of times over the last few weeks. I think there is a possibility that we might be looking at him. Jay Woods, Jordan Larson has left Sparta, free agent. We have been linked with him before, and I didn't know that. Jordan Larson, interesting player. Yeah, why not on a free? He's one of the better freebies, maybe. Areola will have to step in if we get to. Areola will have to step in if we get far in the ECL, surely. But this is it. You know, what Moyes has done last season, I guess he'll do the same again this season. He picked his cup goalie and he picked his Premier League goalie. And he stuck with those goalies throughout the whole, you know, as far as we can go. So it would be unfair on Fabianski if he becomes our cup goalie. And then if we get to the semi-finals, etc., then he switches in for Areola. Any updates on JWP? Yes, there is. And I'll come to that later on. Pete Gads, I'll sell Declan to Chelsea for Brozier, Gallagher, Pulisic and 50 million. No, not this season. Lee, thanks, Hamper. Support. Nice one. You're all chatting to each other. Daniel, if you're selling a player, no sell-on clause, but if a club wants a player, we can add one. We can add one. That is true. Darren can't see us paying 60 million for JWP. No, I can't either. Alex, not a chance. Brozier's going to be that cheap unless there's first dibs options on Rice. Chelsea always get good money on their transfers. Yeah, they do, but 30 million will still be too much for Areola, for Brozier, to be honest with you. Fabs and Oggy to retain their places. Areola and Agard make a strong bench. Ah. Sean, would you win a seesaw weight test with Nigel from 6'2"? Me? Yeah, I'm as light as a feather, mate, even if I have got a bit of timber on me. Hi, Kevin. I hope you're well, mate. Thank you for joining. Much appreciated. Good evening to you, Chris Nix. If Anthony name has disappeared from the scene, I would take him on maybe Mitro from Fulham. Well, Mitrovic is coming back with Fulham, so I doubt very much they're going to want to sell him. And Ivan Toney, I don't think we had our chance with Ivan Toney. I don't think there's no way that Brentford are going to sell him to us. Was he ever really an option for us? I don't really know, to be quite honest with you. I doubt it very much. Let's scroll down a bit. I apologize, I can't put up all your comments. So do forgive me for that. Barkley isn't coming here. Don't be silly. He absolutely isn't coming here. I wouldn't swap him for Declan and money. Sod that. They should have to pay us to take Barkley. With the greatest of respect, Barkley. David M. Don't sell Soucek unless you have a suitable replacement. Should keep Soucek as part of a squad. West Ham already have a small squad before they lost 4 players. Still got to make that up. And we're going to lose another 2 in a couple of that. Well, another 1 now, because now that Areola is signed, but going to lose Kral as well. And okay, some of these players that we've kind of lost, you know, they didn't make the first team, they didn't hardly play, etc. But that goes to show how small our squad was. We needed a bit more decent strength in depth, didn't we? Darren, I would rather Russ sign monkeypox than Barkley would be more useful. I would rather us sign monkeypox than Barkley. Scott, good evening to you. Brozier should be a loan to buy. If Chelsea want to play hardball, we should end this talk. Go for someone better like Ivan Toney. I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with that. Sean, Saints want 75 million for JWP in the same way we want, there you go, 150 million for, it's just to put us off. Absolutely. Mark, Reading just down the road from me. I guess you'll be going to that one then. I think tickets are on sale already, mate. The only 2 I'm happy now to leave is Vlasic and Stel's love child. Daniela, would really laugh and love it if Rice said no to Chelsea at the end of the day. This is the season where we got to keep him, haven't we? You know, and signing a player, I'm going to talk a little bit about Van Juma again later on, but signing players like Van Juma could be, you know, a marker for Declan to say, look, we're you know, we want to keep you, mate. Richard, Barkley would be another wheelchair signing. I agree with you. I don't know. It's all that talk. JWP doesn't want to leave this out. You're nicking my show, as I'm sure Stel will tell you later. Thank you very much, Sean. I thought we were going to keep that to ourselves until I got to that bit. But anyway, I'll talk about that a little bit later on. Ryan, good evening to you, mate. If Chelsea are prepared to offer Brozier as a part deal for Rice, then surely they aren't serious about keeping him. No, they're testing the water is what they're doing, because they're going to get a much more established and much better player than we are. Brozier's a good prospect, don't get me wrong, but he ain't the finished article yet, whereas Declan most certainly is. Good evening to you, Robert. Thank you for joining, mate. Much appreciated. Trudge, be careful. Maybe Masuaku looked great in pre-season training today. We'll carry on. Alex, Rice's family are hammers through and through. Rice's dad still better about Chelsea releasing him. Oh, right. I didn't know that. I thought they were Chelsea fans, but I could be wrong. Ronda and Tony. Vlasic only 24. Play him in his correct position, and then we will see how good he is. This is what I'm thinking, mate. You know, if you play a player in his rightful position, that's the time when you can judge him. You know, and I don't know. Sean, interestingly, Lawrence Bassini, who is a mate of Sullivan's and wants to buy Birmingham, lined up Warburton as manager. That went well. Bassini won't buy Brum. We know that because David Sullivan weren't going to give him. Was he really going to give him the money? I know Sullivan was going to give him money in the past to buy other clubs, wasn't he? Trini, good evening to you. I don't get why we should even consider selling Soucek. I don't either, to be honest with you. But you know what Moyes is like. He doesn't want dissent in the camp, does he? And if the rumor is true that Soucek is upset with the contract negotiations, then Moyes might turn around and go, "Oh, fair enough. Then I'll let you go." You know what Moyes is like. Moyes is like, it's either my way or the highway, and that could be what's happening with Soucek. Mark, got to be around 30 million for Soucek. I would have thought. I don't think we'd let him go for less than 35. But I could be wrong. Darren, Newcastle are going. I've got to be honest with you, mate. I was laughing about it before. Now I'm beginning to think, Jesus Christ, haven't you got your own scouting network? Good evening to you, disabled team. I hope you're all well. Hammerette, Soucek is essential to keep, even as a backup. Why would we sell him? I agree. Exactly that. Sean, I know people close to Rice's family are Hammers mad. Now, I didn't know. I thought they were all Chelsea fans. They are Rice fans, and they would follow whatever club he went to. They used to be Chelsea season ticket holders. That's okay. So they're not they're not Chelsea fans. They're West Ham fans. I didn't know that. Peacock, I just wonder if Soucek is mental for more than knots to his head. Poor Soucek. Foxes should have done Masuaku first. Yeah, Richard. On merit, Vlasic is not even a starter under the under 23s in any position. I don't. I think there's a reason why we bought him. There must be a good reason why we bought him. I mean, like other people have said, play him down the centre of midfield and see what he can produce. If he then can't produce anything, then all right, sell him, in the January window or something like that. Ronda and Tony, Moyes loves Soucek as he plays him in every game. Well, you see, this is it. Moyes, I think he's one of his better players, isn't he? Moyes brought him in when we were in trouble, and Soucek delivered. Soucek delivered in that half a season when we were threatened for relegation, and then he went on the following season, Hammer of the Year, and now, all right, he didn't have a great season, but like I said, you play 2 years on the trot with no rest, that's going to take its toll, isn't it? So I don't know, Dabs. Why are people saying sell Vlasic, but when he's played for us, he hasn't been bad? Yeah, I think it's because he just hasn't really produced what everyone was expecting for 27 million pounds. I think that's the trick there. I don't know. I'm in two minds about Vlasic. I was praising him. I said bear with him. I'd like to maybe give him an opportunity, play him in his rightful position and see what happens there. Oh, just not the microphone, so you're probably not going to hear me now. Good evening, Andy Pepper. How are you? Only just made it here, caught me out starting early. We'll now go jump back in time, watch from the beginning. Don't want to have missed anything. Thank you for that, mate. Hammerette. Darren, I wouldn't believe everything that's being touted regarding the Magpies. A fan told me that they weren't even in for Areola at all. Oh, interesting. Be nice, people. I don't want people to sort of be nasty to each other. I can see the comments, so I'm not going to put them up. James, strengthen the midfield. Definitely keep Soucek. That's a no-brainer, especially with Rice probably leaving next year. Exactly. We know that Declan's likely to leave unless we get to Champions League football. We know he's going to leave. So why do you want to get rid of Soucek as well? Soucek joining coincided with our upturn, so I would avoid selling him. There you are. He came in. He caught him and Bowen came at the same time, and they created that upturn, didn't they? Good evening to you, Lee. Hope you're well, mate. Thank you for joining. Much appreciated. Let's scroll down a few more before we go to the next part of the show. Peter, can we not put King Arthur in a stone? Be nice. I'm trying to be nice. I find it difficult to be nice, though. Darren, just pay Soucek the 120 bags a week he wants. It's on a par with what Zuma is on. I think the rumor is that Soucek wants 100 grand a week. He's on about 60 odd at the moment. There's got to be a midway a midway agreement, hasn't there? The Masuaku stand. Good evening to you, Pat. Thank you for joining Black Country. How the hell can we sell another Premier League club? It's beyond words. Agents, if the agent tells the player he's not happy, then the player's not happy, and all of a sudden the player wants to go, and the agent ain't going to give a damn who he's going to tout him to, is he? Trodge, he might be good in his final season at 34. Who's 34? Ogbonna, isn't it? Sean, if Masuaku's 2-year option, a club option or a player option? I think it's a club option. I hope it's not a player option. I really do. Good evening to you, Pie Mash Kid. I'd keep Masuaku. I wouldn't. Good evening, Howard. Masuaku isn't good enough for the old West Ham. He's got to go. Let's name a stand for Arthur. Good grief. Can you imagine, the King Arthur stand? I mean, goodness me. Let's scroll down a bit more. Epic. We need to get rid of Fabianski and Masuaku as soon as possible. Fabianski ain't going anywhere. He signed another year contract. Sharky, Winston Reed available on a free. Robert, what do you expect if you know you're a backup defender? You fight for your place is what you do. That's what you should do. You fight for your place and you hope that you then get picked. Isn't that what competition in the squad's all about? I don't know. I think you fight for your place. According to Salary Sport, Masuaku is on 43 grand a year, 47 grand a week. Wow. I didn't think it was that low. Give Arthur a testimonial. for what apparent reason give Arthur a testimonial? For winding me up. He's good at winding me up. We'll give him a testimonial for that. Pie and mash again. My mate is a black cabbie and has picked up Lewis Potter from King's Cross Station, taken him to Stratford Hotel near Westfield. Nah, sorry. If he's taken him to Canary Wharf, that's where he needs to be, because that's where all the other players have gone to. Isn't that right, people? Hammerheads. Chelsea can have Rice for 100 million with Werner, Brozier and Gallagher. I don't rate Werner. Brozier, yeah. Prospect, Gallagher, yeah. And 100 million, yeah, absolutely. GP. Stelding it, it's not. It's really old. It's a very old training shirt. It's a nice shirt, though, isn't it? Oh, dear. Excuse me 1 second. People, you got to be nice to each other. I'm not going to put the comments up that are just slagging each other off. Don't do it. Mark, loan, Areola would sit on the bench. Signed, for sure, he wanted guarantees. I think he's going to become our first team keeper. And maybe, just maybe, I mean, no joking, maybe he will be eased into that role. You know, he might start with... Fabianski initially, and then ease Areola in as our permanent number one. I know I could be wrong though. I could be wrong. Let's see what else we got here. Pie and mash. Mitro ain't Premier League class anyway. Well, let's see. New hairdo, no mate. It's just growing out. Trini. Chelsea are trying to sign Sterling, so maybe Brozier could be sold. Chelsea are trying to sign Sterling, so maybe Brozier could be sold. Yeah, but Lukaku's going, isn't he? So maybe he's going to replace Lukaku. Richard, Sean, are you saying happy-go-lucky King Arthur deserves a bigger wage than Sulky Sue? I doubt it. I doubt he means that at all, mate. I doubt he meets that at all. Yeah, done that one. Peter X, can't wait until Brozier comes back from Chelsea tour to see if we can sign one or not move on. But this is the thing. I was gonna talk about that later on, but I don't want us to wait until Chelsea come back from his loan sign from his tour away. Isn't that going to be too late? We don't want to hang on for players. We want players through the door now. We don't want him to going out on tour and then maybe just maybe near the tail end of this of the transfer window we sign him. Hammer it. As mentioned before, Chelsea are likely to drag this Brozier bullshit out right until the end. Just hope Moyes goes for plan B. You said it. You know, it's what I think as well. Right. I tell you what, let's move on to the next part of the show, shall we? So there's a hell of a lot of speculation going on, not just about our senior players, but about some of our junior academy players as well. But first of all, let's talk about the Papa John Trophy. West Ham United under-21s trophy. It's an under-21s trophy, which is going to be a mix of the under-18s and the under-23 squad. And West Ham United have found out who their opponents are going to be. They'll face Cheltenham Town, MK Dons and Walsall. Now, I don't know too much about the rules of this, but it seems that top seeds in a group play all their games away. So West Ham United are clearly the top seed, and they'll be playing all their games away. I kind of don't get that, but that's what I read. But maybe I've read it wrong. The first game will be in week commencing the 29th of August, where they will meet Walsall away. Then on the week commencing the 19th of September, they face the MK Dons. And then the last group game will be played in the week commencing the 17th of October against Cheltenham. Good luck to them, and I hope they do well. Right, Nathan Hollands. Now, he was one of the prospects, wasn't he? We were all speculating for many a year that Nathan Holland would be the next sensation. We brought him in. There's a lot of there was a lot of noise about Nathan Holland. Unfortunately, after a couple of loan spells out to Oxford United, Nathan Holland's contract came to an end, or will come to an end at the end, or would have come to an end at the end of June. But MK Dons have signed him up, Nathan Holland, and we do really wish him well. He was one of those players where we really thought that he was really going to sort of take off. It just hasn't happened for him, but we do wish him well. Right, what about some of our youngsters? There's an awful lot going on here. Sonny Perkins, end of his contract. Nothing's been signed. We've got 3 days to try and get Sonny Perkins to sign an extended contract with him, or he becomes a free agent. I talked about this a few weeks ago, if you remember. I compared him to Jeremy Ngakia. I compared him to Benicio Baker-Boati, who we had in our under-23s, who both decided that the grass was greener on the other side. Boati, he was being touted out to a load of big German clubs, Borussia, Mönchengladbach, etc., etc. He ended up at Porto for their squad, and he had a loan spell recently for Brighton. A Brighton under 23s. So that didn't quite work out. And Ngakia, he came in, when we had a lot of players injured in the senior team for the right back spot. And in the few games that we were going to let him go at the end of his contract, but he did so well that we offered him an extended contract. He refused that. He went to Watford on a permanent. But then again, he didn't sort of do in and out of the Watford team, relegated down to the Championship, etc., etc. And now we've got Perkins. Look, Leeds United are apparently showing an interest. Aston Villa apparently are showing an interest. Various other teams are looking at it, throwing money at this youngster. I think he's a prospect. I don't think he's anywhere near the finished article. He's a great prospect without a shadow of a doubt. Should we keep him? Yes, of course we should. But in all honesty, if Sonny Perkins and his agent think that he's better off elsewhere, then let him go, because, as I've just mentioned, the grass is not always greener on the other side. A player like him, I think he'll do well to stay at West Ham United. We've got a good academy. We try and look after our youngsters. We try and nurture them in the right way. He might not get that. He might go to Leeds or somewhere else. Apparently Leeds might lose Rafinha. Maybe they're looking at Sonny Perkins being a replacement to Rafinha, for example. I think he's got a long way to go before he becomes a permanent first-team Premier League footballer. And I think he should just stay put and agree a contract with West Ham and continue his development with us. But, at the end of the day, in 3 days' time, he's going to be a free agent. It's going to be down to what his agent is telling him to do. Connor Coventry, at the end of a really successful spell at MK Dons in the second half of last season, there is speculation now as to what the future might hold for him. I think pre-season is going to be very important for Connor Coventry. I've said this many times in the past. He had 2 very good pre-seasons. Last pre-season and the pre-season before, he did really, really well. I thought he would come on and start staking a claim, especially with Noble being in last year of his contract. And it looked like we had a shortage of central midfielders. And then we brought Crowell in and we let Coventry go out on loan. The first part of his loan spell didn't work out so well, but in the second half of the season, when he went to MK Dons, he did exceptionally well. And the MK Dons, the fans loved him for his performances. Almost got them to the playoffs. Did get them to the playoffs, but they weren't just good enough to sort of get through for promotion. I like Coventry. I think Coventry is quite a decent player. He made his debut when he came on in the 8-0 win against Macclesfield for Pedro Obiang. He signed his first an extended professional contract till 2023 in 2020. And I just thought he was going to sort of be one of the players that was going to sort of move on and start showing what he's capable of. But it looks like it's going the same way as Josh Cullen did. Now, I know there are stories out there that apparently were interested in Josh Cullen. I don't believe them for a second, to be quite honest with you. I think Josh Cullen is a decent player, but is he any better than Coventry? I'm not so sure. I'd like to see Coventry have a really good pre-season, and I'd like to see him fight for his place in the squad. And maybe just maybe he might save us a lot of money. Instead of going out and buying a central midfielder, a defensive-minded midfielder, maybe Coventry is the player that can actually demonstrate what he can do, you know, in the cup competitions, in the early stages of the Europa Conference League, etc., etc. I like him, but it's really down to what's going to happen with his what pre-season is going to give us. So fingers crossed for him. Another player now, Emmanuel Longello. Apparently, there was quite a lot of interest in Emmanuel Longello back in January, but then he picked up an injury which kept him out of the team, the under-23s, for a while. We know what he did in the Europa League when he played the full game against Dinamo Zagreb in the last game of the group stages. He was very, very good. In fact, he was so good that everybody gave him. He was named man of the match for that. Certainly amongst the West Ham fans. Like Connor Coventry, he joined West Ham at an early age. They both joined at the age of 10 and developed through the youth squad, developed through the under-18s, made it into the under-23s, etc. And he's played in 9 different positions whilst he's been at West Ham. But this is what happens with youngsters. He's played various roles: centre-back, right-back, left midfield. He started off as a left winger, attacking winger. He even played up front one time. But he's settled in the left back role, a bit of a mix, a bit of a left back, left wing back role, and he's done really well. He's done really well for the under-23s. He did really well when he played for against Dinamo Zagreb. Nottingham Forest came knocking on the door in January. Apparently, they're back in for him again, but it sounds like he's going to get his chance. Look, we all know we need a left back. And I just wonder, David Moyes, you know, surprised us all last summer when he didn't buy a left back. He might surprise us again this summer and not buy another left back. Could it be that Longello might stake a claim in a place in the senior squad? Just like Connor Coventry, there are games that can be played that you might consider Longello for, Europa Conference League and stuff like that, in early stages of the cup, domestic cup competitions and so on. Possibly. I think Moyes can't afford not to buy a left back again for another season. I think he will buy one. But if we keep Longello and nurture him, isn't that what the academy is all about? Nurturing our young players and priming them to become senior players in the squad, players in the senior squad. And that goes for Harrison Ashby as well. Another player very highly thought of. With Ryan Fredericks having left the club now, there's possibly a role at that third backup behind Johnson and Soufal on the right back spot. He can play as a right wing back as well. He's a very decent, solid footballer. Very, very highly thought of. Again, he joined West Ham United at the age of 9 when he was discarded by Chelsea. There you go, Chelsea. He signed his first professional contract in 2020. He's gone on to make 58 appearances for the under-23s and under-18s combined. And he made his first senior appearance for West Ham United against Charlton in September 2020 in the League Cup. He's since made 5 senior appearances. I haven't updated my stats. There you go. How awful am I? Amateur. He's since made 5 senior appearances for West Ham United. And a couple of those have been in the season that's just passed. Look, Moyes is sent to be an admirer. He's a Scottish under-21 international as well. He's a very, very good player and certainly someone that maybe is another player in pre-season that's going to demonstrate that maybe we don't have to go out and buy a whole raft of players. Maybe we've got one or two under-23s that may make the grade. Look, I'm not suggesting for a moment that we're going to have a whole load of under-23s in the squad, but Ashby could be one of them. And finally, for the under-23s, Armstrong Oko Flex. Now, I read an interesting story that apparently is looking to leave, or clubs are looking to be interested in him. Look, what's happened with Oko Flex is he came to us only a year or so ago after leaving Celtic, allowing his contract to expire there. He's only got a contract until 2023, Oko Flex. But he is one of the stars of the under-23s, without a shadow of a doubt. He played 18. He made 18 appearances last season, 12 goals, 1 assist. He is. I mean, if any one of you watched any of the under-23 games last season, you could see he was almost like a step above almost every other player for West Ham United. He's very, very decent. Starts out on the left-hand side, cuts in on the right. You know, we're looking for players. We're looking for competition in those positions. We're looking at Keane Lewis Potter, who's only 21 years of age. Is Occo Flex any worse than him? Well, we haven't seen Occo Flex, play in real competitive competition, so we kind of don't know. But he's got the potential to be. Celtic didn't want to let him go in January transfer window. A number of Scottish Premier League teams and a number of Championship League teams were after him on loan, and apparently they're back in for to see if Occo Flex could be prized away from West Ham United. He's certainly a player that I certainly would like to keep at West Ham without a shadow of a doubt. Right, let's go into your chat to see what you guys are saying. Good evening, Martini. Got to be a great season ahead. Great signing so far. Pie and Mash, well, Lewis Potter on the way. You keep saying, I hope so. Pat Martin, I like Lewis Potter. Pat Martin, how do we know Chelsea offer is genuine? What are the sources? Does anyone know about that? No, this is it, Pat. You read a lot of stuff and how much of it is true, we don't know. Robert, hit the like. I never do. I should do this. Please, people, if you're new to the channel, please hit that like button. If you don't like it, hit the down button. If you're also new, please do subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification to let you know when I'm next on. I never do that, do I? So thank you for reminding me, Robert. Much appreciated. Shrodge, Hull owner saying we wouldn't accept 30 million for Lewis Potter. 30 million. He's 21 years of age. Get real. But that's they don't want to let their best players go, and so they put a price tag on him, just like we put a price tag on Declan. They don't want to let their best players go without a shadow of a doubt. Darren, I wouldn't mind Dennis from Watford. Yeah, I talked about him a few weeks ago, but that's gone a bit quiet as well. He has something about him. Yeah, I agree. Good evening, Andy. How are you? And there it is. I just log on and Hammerit is talking Belotti already. Peter said to be looking at 21-year-old Fleetwood player for £1 million. I read that earlier today. Someone else mentioned that a little bit earlier on. Disabled team, it would have been impossible for Soucek to replicate the same numbers as his debut season. Not many players do. I agree that he wasn't the worst. I agree. Yeah, it would have been difficult to replicate. Daniela, if we do sell Rice, should we put an add-on if he wins trophies like 5 million for Champions League? Absolutely. Really good point. Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. Who else we got here? Trudge. They're just trying to use Soucek as a make weight to buy JWP, it seems to me. I don't know. I'm going to talk about JWP. I'm going to get to the transfer bit of the show in a minute. I'm going to talk about JWP and a few others. Scott, if we sign Lewis Potter, can we play Fornals and Vlasic in their proper positions in the middle? Bang on. And this is, I think, why we're looking at, let's talk about Ben Rama. Didn't even include Ben Rama. Let's talk about Ben Rama possibly going. We should absolutely be looking to use players like Vlasic and Fornals in their rightful positions in the middle of the park. Troj Bissouma, I'll get that up in a minute. Said the bishop to the actress. Troj, Bissouma and Phillips gone now. They are. Look, I won't lie. Phillips, I think maybe it was a bit of a pipe dream for us to get him. Very disappointed that we didn't even look at Bissouma. And I know he's got this court case looming, etc. And maybe apparently that's why we haven't gone in for him. But I was disappointed, very disappointed. And given the fact that he went for how much? 25 million, honestly. Ryan, are we still looking at En-Nesyri, or is it Brochura's plan A, B, and C? There has been talk about En-Nesyri. It's gone a bit quiet. Talked about him last week, but now I don't know. Daniela, no one wants to go to Newcastle regardless of their money. I think there will be players that will be interested, but of course, the money's going to attract them without a doubt. Bondholders at the moment for... Oh, really? I didn't think they were doing that. I thought it was open market. That's a bit disappointing. Pie and Mash, mate, you said that about 10 times with the greatest of respect. Hammerhead, don't believe the bollocks Rice's family are Chelsea fans. Only his young nephews are. Don't believe Rice's family are Chelsea and his nephews are Hammers fans. Oh, I don't know. I always thought they were Chelsea fans, to be quite honest with you. Mark, Danjuma or Sarr? Why not both? But Danjuma or Sarr? That's a tough one, actually, to be really honest with you. I'm erring on Danjuma, but I'm going to talk about Danjuma later and maybe err back to Sarr, and I'll explain why later on. Schmiegel, good evening to you. What players would you like us to sign that we haven't been linked with? God, that's put me on the... I'll have to come back to you on that one, mate. Hickey. Well, we kind of been linked with Hickey. I'd like to sign Hickey as a left back. David Raum, we kind of been linked to David Raum. But I'd like to sign him as a left back as well. Who else maybe? I'll tell you what, I'm going to have a think about that and come back to you when I do my next show, because that's a really good question. I only read the stories rather than thinking about who would I like to have. Good question. Dabs. Mark Alexandra, that's not even a debate. Dan Juma all day long. Isn't it a debate? I don't know, Dabs. I don't know. Mate, if you mention that one more time, that Lewis Potter is in Westfield, I'm going to have to cut you off. Please, Pie and Mash. I'm sure you mean well, but I have mentioned your comment at least 4 times, so there's no need for you to keep repeating it and put it in block capitals either. I read it. Daniela, Yakeem Ramadan still on the starting line or in limbo? Yakeem Ramadan. That's thrown me. Kent, I'd sell Arthur for as little as 5 million. Just want him gone. He's a defensive liability and he's not much better up front either, to be quite honest with you. GP, Tony Curry, former England player and 5 Live pundits said Rice's family is dead. I thought, yeah, Sean, spinning again, mate. Trini, Moyes surely needs to negotiate with... Yeah, I think so. I think that there's got to be negotiations there. We can't let him go, to be honest with you. Martin, show a bit of ambition, keep Soucek and buy another couple of midfielders, which is what I think. Absolutely agree. Garino, I like Vlasic. Put him in a central midfield role, central attacking midfield role, and see what he can do. Exactly. It's exactly what I think. And it's a shame that he hasn't been utilised in the role that he himself has said he's best at. Who else we got here? Pegads. I wonder if West Ham got a discount for Vlasic due to the Russian sanction. Good point. You've just reminded me, because we haven't paid all the money, £27 million, but apparently we've only paid something like one or two installments. So very good shout, because because of the sanctions at the moment, we don't have to pay the rest of it. That's why we might let him go for about 15 million, or we won't actually take a loss because we haven't paid all his money. I wonder how that would work out actually. You know, that's a really interesting point. Thank you for reminding me, B-Cats. Conscious Hammer. Masuaku's stealing a living, so he's so poor, I'd release him. See, when I say it, people say I'm having a go at Masuaku. When other people say it, they, people agree. He is a poor player. David M. We do need a few quality midfielders in preparation for next season, just for them to get settled in. Yes, we absolutely do. I totally agree. Masuaku isn't good enough for the women's team. Oh, poor Masuaku. Poor Masuaku. Trodge, hopefully Masuaku isn't mentoring Johnson. Good evening, Jim Hardy. Thank you for joining, mate. I hope you're well. Scott, we should offer Masuaku and 10 million for Broja, so Chelsea know. So Chelsea know how it feels. Hammerette. Feel sorry for Masuaku, who's had a few good moments. Hang on. He's had a few good moments. You're going to have to tell me which ones they are, but there you go. Sean, the remainder of Werner's contract is £42 million on its own. Chuck that in with Werner, Gallagher and Broja and I'm sold. Do you all like Werner? Am I the only one who doesn't really think much of Werner? Maybe I don't know. Let's scroll down a bit more. Where's it gone? Where's my cursor gone? There it is. You know what's happening, don't you? Yeah, it's jumping yet again. So go there. Darren, play nice people, keep the bad vibes and people. Look, it's a family show. We really respectful of everybody, and that's what you should be in the chat. Even to, and I'm really grateful. I've got fans from other teams that watch. I'm really, really grateful for that. So everyone be nice. That's the way it goes here. You all got to be nice. Pash, what's happening to Potter? Who? Harry? We need a young adventurous player. I didn't know Harry can play football. Look, yeah, I mean, apparently it's still on the burner. Apparently we are in for him, but everything takes quite a while. Peter, Perkins in limbo. We don't need another TikTok dancer. It is a shame, really, because he's had a couple of first team appearances, and all of a sudden he thinks he's worth, I don't know what he thinks he's asking for. Hammer it. Agree, Scott. We are next level now. He's bottom half table player and has been left behind. Are we talking about? Let's stop talking about Masuaku. Wasn't Papa John caught being racist? I don't know. I really don't know, JP. Anil, with Kelvin Phillips going to Man City for 45 million, is Rice being overpriced? Not that he's going anywhere. Well, of course he is, Anil. And that's just to put people off buying him. Look, we all know, deep down, we all know that Rice isn't really worth 150 million. We would like to think so, but realistically, we know it's a lot of money. So, it's to ward people off. If someone came and said to us, there's 150 million, we'd have to seriously consider it. Alex, can't see Yoko Flex ever getting a chance now. We're strengthened. He didn't get a look in when we were desperate, pointless signing. Really, like Ashley Fletcher, we've had a few of these types. He's a lot better than Ashley Fletcher. But you got a good point there. You really have. NWO, what the F is that? It's an under-21s trophy. And Papa John's is a pizza. So there you go. Hammerett, KP has had so many injuries, though, to be fair, and doesn't have the football brain or leadership that Rice possesses. Good point. Good point. Pat, there was a reason Everton let Holland go for free. Yeah, it seems that we thought he was going to be the next big deal, but unfortunately, he wasn't. Good evening to you, Steve. We got that striker yet. Don't go putting a bet on us getting a striker, Steve. NWO, Moyes don't play kid. Well, I agree. He doesn't. He did have opportunities to play him and didn't do so. Scott, Anil, Rice is 22, future England Clapton, Calvin Phillips is 27, injury prone. That's the difference in the price. Good shout. Good point. Mark, Areola, Raum, Aged, Zuma, Johnson, Rice, Soucek, Danjuma, Lingard, Bowen, and Broja. Not too shabby, but probably not in for any of them. Areola, we've got Raum. I'd love to get him. I'd love to splash that cash and get him. Again, we've got already Zuma, Johnson, Rice, Soucek, Danjuma. See, Areola, 10-ish million. Raum, 35 million. So that's 45 million already. Danjuma, another 35. That's 80 million. Lingard, 10 million signing on fee. That's 90 million. Broja, 30 million. Shouldn't pay that much. So that's over 100. Yeah, it's doable. It's actually doable. Let me go through that. 10, 45... 80, Lingard 90, and Broja 25, 115 million. That's 115 million for those players. It's doable, Mark. It actually really is. And what a team that would be. What a team. Shroj, Tony Carr picked out Perkins being one of being our one to make it through. But then there's Mubama coming through. There's Callum Marshall, who we bought in January, who's very, very decent. We've got a number of youngsters. Okoflex, who I've just mentioned. It's quite a few of them. I'm not saying I don't think Perkins is rubbish. Don't get me wrong. I just think Perkins is far from the finished article, and he should stop demanding big wages because he thinks he might be the next big thing. He might be, but you've got to be realistic as well. Andy, I thought Perkins had another year and it was a storm in a teacup. No, I think his contract expires in 3 days' time, mate. I could be wrong, but I will double check. But I think it does expire in 3 days' time. Martin, Dennis would up front wouldn't be bad. I like him. Yeah, I agree with you. Let's see who else we got here. NWO, he's 17. Moyes won't pick him for 10 years. Perkins has another year. Loan him out. I'm surprised. Then I stand corrected. I thought his contract ended at the end of this June, but I stand corrected if that's not the case. Loan him out. I'm promising him contract if he proves himself. Good points. Graham. Hi from Alberta. Good evening to you, Graham. I hope you're well, mate. It's coffee break here at work. I will watch and rerun later, but just for the shits and giggles, how late did I start today? I wasn't late. All right, 3 minutes. 3 minutes late. That's not bad for me, is it, Graham, to be quite honest with you, mate? And hang on a minute. I was putting my shows on. Was it earlier for you? Because you said you couldn't. Oh, maybe it wasn't for you. Oops. I knew I was going to knock the microphone. I knew it. I hope you can still hear me. Let's see what else we got here. Peak ads. Moyes fears change. First game lineup. Fabiola, Soufal, Zuma, Dawson, Cressy, Deck, Soucek, Benny, Lanzini. But I make you right, Peak ads. I do. Peter, Coventry will end up being sent to Coventry. I wasn't 5 minutes late. I was 3 minutes late. Mark, Claret and Blue have always won a cup, Stanley Cup. Way to go, Aston Villa. Martin, Coventry would improve being brought into the first team squad. Look, I agree, and I think that's the same with many of the other youngsters. You give them see, this is what pre-season is all about, because the youngsters, the under-23s, are going to join, and some of the under-18s are going to join the seniors for their under-23s pre-season schedule. That's when they're given an opportunity. So, Darren, I don't know if I want to answer. What's the difference between Epstein and David Moyes? Moyes won't touch. That's really bad. That's really bad. Let's scroll, but I did laugh. Pat, Cullen was the better player. I actually don't think so, to be honest. I've watched both of them for Ireland teams a lot. Well, you know, I stand corrected. But I've seen them. When I saw them playing, I always thought Coventry was the better player. But, you know, good shout with regards to the Irish team, because they both play for that team. Peter, Cullen won't leave Belgium as he loves their waffles. Mark, everyone now and again a player comes through. Coventry is one I really have hope for. I have too. I really do. Right, I'll tell you what. Let's stop there and go into, well, the final part of the show, shall we? Which is all about the things you love. Oh, by the way, before we do, no, Right, so before I go into all the transfers, and there's some interesting ones there, I think you guys, if you haven't already subscribed to this, you really, really ought to. Look, sorry, that was a bit long, but it's worth doing because that website is fantastic. There's a guy in the chat who runs it, and he really is superb. He's done a fantastic job. If you want all your transfer information in just one place, go to 6foot2.co.uk and look at the transfer centre, but also the website itself. You know, Nigel Khan, the West Ham historian himself, it's his website. And he writes a lot of good stuff about the history of West Ham, which we should all read up about. You know, there's some fantastic insight there. We've got up-to-date information as well. The Claret and Booze guys on the YouTube and myself are linked to it. So all our videos are put up there as well. But Andy's transfer centre, honestly, if you go and look at it and compare it to the Sky Sports transfer centre, and you tell me what the difference is, you know, apart from obviously the interviews that they have on there, you know, a lot of the information that you'll get is absolutely superb. So if you haven't subscribed to 6foot2.co.uk, you really ought to. So look, right, let's go into the into the transfers now and talk about the first one. I mentioned him a little bit earlier on in the show. Areola, we now know he's a permanent signing. He signed a 5-year deal plus a 1-year option, which is fantastic. Areola has said, I feel good. I feel great. I'm happy to sign and happy to stay here permanently. And I can't wait to start training and do the job. The main thing is that I felt the love of the supporters last season. Something for me that is really important is to feel that love. I know that I have a job to do, and I do, and everything to make them happy. And obviously, also the team, my teammates, the staff, Xavi Valero, the goalie coach. The vibe of last season was great, so I just wanted to do everything to stay here. He wanted to stay. Look, people, he's been with PSG since 2008. Look at all the loan signings he's had since then, to Lens, Bastia, etc., etc., etc. This is his first permanent move since signing for PSG in 2008. So the fact that he's he wanted to stay at the club, etc., is a massive coup for us. Really is. He is a fantastic goalkeeper. He's really he's really shone. He's really sort of demonstrated just what value he is. And for 7 million, £7.5 million, £10 million with add-ons, etc., we've got a snip there, people. We absolutely have. Right, let's move on. And I did a show earlier on. I talked about Arnaut Danjuma earlier on. So after this show, it's a short video, 15-minute video. So look at my videos that I've done on Danjuma. It gives you a lowdown on the player, etc., etc. So with Danjuma, I think it's really interesting. You know, we were interested in him last summer when Bournemouth didn't make it back up to the Premier League after the playoffs. There was apparent interest in him then, but he signed for Villarreal. Villarreal at the time, they were fourth in the Spanish league, and they made Champions League football. And he came out. He's quite an interesting character, a bit of an outspoken character. He came out and said, you know, I wasn't made to play for the Championship. I was made to play for Champions League, in the Champions League. He had a taste of that when he was at Club Brugge the season before he joined Bournemouth. And he's confident. He's confident. I'll give you that. You know, he's a right-footed player that cuts in from the left. He can also play up front as well. You know, quite natural playing as a centre forward, as well as a left-sided attacking player. He developed through the youth ranks of PSV Eindhoven, but almost never made it because he had quite a troubled childhood. He was in foster care, and his foster parents didn't want to take him to football training. So his father picked him up and took him on a regular basis. And then he got signed up for PSV at the age of 11. And that allowed him, his father applied to bring him back home, which he did. His parents are divorced, and he's lived with his father. And that was great for him because that was some stability for him. He spent 8 years at PSV Eindhoven before he was released in 2016 and went to play for NEC Nijmegen. I probably got that wrong. He made 46 appearances for the NEC club, scoring 14 goals and an impressive 17 assists. In 2018, he was on the move again, as I just mentioned, Club Brugge, in the Belgium league, and he signed for them for £2.5 million. He made just 25 appearances for the Belgian club, scoring 6 goals with 4 assists. So it wasn't that prolific, but it didn't stop Bournemouth for coming in and paying a £15 million fee for him in 2019. His first season at Bournemouth wasn't fantastic. He was part of the team that failed to stay in the Premier League. He made 14 appearances, no goals and no assists. However, that season was also hampered by injuries with the player. And it was his second season at Bournemouth, when they were in the Championship, that he really came into his own. 37 appearances, got them to the playoffs, 17 goals and 8 assists. And it was at the end of that season when he made that statement, you know, about playing in Champions League and not Championship. Villarreal came in for him. They bought him for £21 million. He's played 34 games for the Spanish team, 16 goals and 4 assists, including appearances in the Champions League. And they got to the last 4 of the Champions League last season. If you notice with Danjuma, he always makes this sign, like a snake sign. And he was asked a couple of times, what is that all about? And he said it's in tribute to his lifelong friend. Whenever they used to play five-a-side together, his friend, we used to say to him, come on, mate, we need to, you need to sort of take up the mantle now. And his friend would just glide past players like a snake. He was that good. And so he's, when Danjuma made it into football, etc., out of respect to his friend, his lifelong friend, he'd always do the snake sign for him. Look, he's 25 years of age. He was born in Nigeria to a Dutch father, Nigerian mother. He was eligible to play for either national team, but he got called up for the Netherlands under-21s, and then he's made the senior team as well. He hasn't had that many appearances for the senior team, 6 appearances. His first appearance was in 2018. And then there was a 3-year gap, and he was called back into the senior team in October 2021. There's every reason to believe that he will make the international. He'll make the Netherlands team for the World Cup in this winter. He was worth around £20 million last summer, £21 million. Like I said, he got bought by Villarreal for that sort of price. Now there's talk about him being worth anything around £35, £36 million. Look, 35, 36 million pounds. I think we should just go for it. Look, the only thing that worries me about Danjuma is the fact that he thinks he's Champions League, he wants Champions League football, etc., etc., and he's had a taste of that. But he also wants to come back to the Premier League as well. He thinks there's unfinished business there. So is West Ham the type of team that he will be interested in? I'd like to really think so. I don't know how real this move is. We've heard so many transfer stories in this window. There's no knowing whether he's a realistic target or not. I like to think that he is. And I like to think that West Ham could be a project for him. He would be the sort of player, along with Declan, they have ambitions. They want to have ambitions to play Champions League football. He would be the sort of player that maybe could come in alongside Declan, alongside other players, maybe Lingard or whoever else we may get, to take us to Champions League football. Why not? Why not? Right, the player that you've all been discussing throughout the whole show, Armando Broja. Look, Broja, 20 years of age, Albanian international, born in Slough. He was on loan. We all know he was on loan to Southampton. He had a very good first half of the season. Kind of, went off the boil a little bit in the sort of latter stages of the season. But he's Albanian international. He's played 12 appearances, 3 goals for them, etc. His form has definitely dipped, but he's still a good prospect. He's still young enough, a great prospect to have, and Chelsea have done really well with some of their loan signings. I know they loan out an awful lot of their youngsters to teams abroad in Europe, etc., etc. But some of the special ones, like Gallagher, like Broja, they loan them out to Premier League teams to see if they can do it in the Premier League. And I think Broja has kind of shown, without a shadow of a doubt, that he's very capable of putting up with the pace of the Premier League. Look, Lukaku's leaving. They're going on tour, Chelsea. And apparently Tuchel wants to sort of see for himself whether Broja can maybe fill Lukaku's boots. So it's really 50-50. That's why, there's talk about him being £30 million. Chelsea have actually said he's worth 60. I mean, and that is like we said earlier on, that's only because they want to put teams off bidding for him. Of course, he's not worth 60. He's not worth 30 at the moment. He is worth about 25 million pounds. But at the end of the day, it really does depend on whether Chelsea are willing to sell. Are we going to wait for Chelsea to do their what is it? Is it American tour or wherever they're going? Are we really going to wait for them to do that and then for him to come back? I don't know when their tour ends. I've got no idea. But are we really going to wait for all that before we put a bid in for him? Like other people have said, I hope we've got a plan B, a plan C, or whatever. Let's not stick all our eggs in one basket, just like we've done with this player. Look, I know it's boring. I do agree. I know what you guys are saying. Oh, not again, not again. Unfortunately, it's there. It's in the news. Have we put another bid in for him? Have we made an offer? Look, this is the way I understand it with Jesse Lingard. Jesse Lingard, Newcastle approached him, and Jesse Lingard apparently said to them, "I want 200 grand a week to play for you." He knows they can afford it, but Newcastle have said no. There is that rumor going around, he wants 180 grand a week and so on, to play his football. Look, first of all, Jesse Lingard wants a big signing on fee. From what I understand, from what I've been told, the signing on fee isn't paid off in one go. The signing on fee can be paid over the period of a contract. So if you've got a 3-year contract or a 4-year contract or wherever it may be, then that signing on fee will be spread across the contract years. Also, apparently, it can be broken down into chunks. Now, from what, again, we understand, Lingard will want around £2 million signing on fee each year. So if he wants, I don't know, if he wants to sign a 4-year contract, and that means it'll be an £8 million signing on fee. If he wants to sign a 3-year contract, that'll be a £6 million signing on fee, paid in £2 million chunks over the weeks, etc. So that works out to what? 35, 36, 40 grand a week. So this 180 grand a week that people are saying he wants, yes, maybe, but that's about 140 grand a week playing, and that's about 40 grand a week signing on fee. Now, 40 grand a week signing on fee. Now, look, Lingard, he was on what, 18, 19 grand a week? So it's a big jump. Will he get that at West Ham, or will he get that anywhere? I don't think so. I think West Ham United are waiting for him to come back and really sort of, for him to tell us what's a realistic figure that he really wants to get. Because 180 grand a week is not realistic, and West Ham won't pay that. 200 grand a week is not realistic. West Ham won't pay that. So it really does depend on what his agents really, really want, what they think he's really worth. If they really honestly think he's worth 180 grand a week, then I'm sure there's going to be a club that's out there that's going to want to pay that. I really can't see that. No disrespect to Lingard. I think he's still got 2 or 3 good years left in him without a shadow of a doubt. But will he actually go to any club to be paid, I don't know, 80 or 180 grand a week? No. I think if with the signing on fee, I think if we get Lingard for say about, I don't know, 100 grand a week plus that signing on fee, which is worth another 30, 40 grand a week, then maybe West Ham United might be interested in doing business. Thereafter, I really, really don't know. Right. Okay. Let's move on from Lingard, shall we? Because last January and last summer, there was an awful lot of speculation about French players playing in the French league. And I did a show called The French Connection, and listing all the players in the French league that we were linked to. And there were quite a number of them. Interestingly, this summer, we got the Italian job. We got a whole load of players from the Italian league that were being linked to. Giovanni Simeone, left back Luca Pellegrini, not related to Manuel Pellegrini. Sassuolo players, Giacomo Raspadori, Gianluca Scamacca. So there's quite a number of Italian players or players playing in the Italian league that we're linked to. Now, I know Edin Dzeko has said he doesn't want to come to West Ham. Well, thank the Lord for that. 36, 37 years of age, probably earning 180 grand, 200 grand a week. Thanks for telling us, Edin, that you don't want to come, because quite frankly, we don't want you. Anyway, let's start off with Simeone, because I don't understand this one. I really, really don't. And I've read it and read it again and read it again and read it again. And I'm not going to spend too much time on this because Simeone has played for a number of Italian clubs. He's been on loan, Genoa and Cagliari and Hellas Verona, etc., etc. He was out on loan at Hellas Verona last season. And from what I've read, he's about to sign a permanent contract with Hellas Verona. So I really don't understand why these stories keep being knocked around that he's up for sale for £9 million. So I'm not going to spend any more time on that one because I don't think there's any mileage in it. Right. Lucas Pellegrini. The first time I discussed Lucas Pellegrini was this time last year. Back then, the best description I could give to the player was he sounded like an Italian Arthur Masuaku. Look, naturally, I was quite dismissive of the story back then, but the story's come back up again that apparently we're interested in Luca Pellegrini. 23 years of age, left back, developed through the Roma youth ranks, and in the early stages of his career, made loan spells to clubs like Cagliari. In his youth, he was regarded as one of the most talented young players to break through, which accounts for why Juventus paid £20 million for him in 2019. Since then, he's gone on to make 2 more loan spells, back at Cagliari and then more recently to Genoa. He's not really commanded a regular starting berth in any of these teams that he's played in. Roma, 6 appearances. Cagliari, 36 appearances. But Cagliari is a team that is in the lower half of is Serie A. They regularly get relegated and then come back up again. Genoa, he played 12 games. Juventus, 21 appearances in total, which was only 16 of those was as a first-team starter this season alone. He has represented Italy, having made just the 1 appearance in 2020. Look, Juventus don't buy players who are rubbish. They obviously buy players who they see potential in. He's classed more as a left wing back rather than a left back. And at 23, one would argue that he will have the best years ahead of him. He's got bags of pace. He's considered to have a good technical ability. So I compared his stats to the players that we have that play the left back role at the moment. And I could only compare him to Aaron Cresswell and King Arthur. Look at King Arthur's first name. That's his real first name, by the way. Look, overall, Cresswell does better in many areas than Pellegrini or Masuaku, such as take-ons, shot accuracy, aerial and ground duels, etc. And it's perhaps that Pellegrini is still learning his trade at 23, which has got one advantage over Masuaku. You could say you could still nurture Pellegrini. He's got a long contract with Juve until 2025. So, you see the stats here. They just don't really do him a lot of justice. Anyway, he's got a contract till 2025. Apparently, Juve would only want about £9 million for him. I'm not convinced. The last thing I want is to start moaning about another player that we're about to sell or let go of and bring another player in who's the Italian version of King Arthur. I'm sorry, it doesn't wash. So I'm not too much into that one. Next up, Gianluca Scamacca. Talked about him a couple of weeks ago. Started his footballing career at Lazio Youth Development Squad, then went on to Roma's Youth Development Squad, and then he moved to PSV Eindhoven for 240 grand in 2015 at the age of 16. After 2 years there, no senior appearances, Sassuolo bought him for 450 grand on a 4.5-year deal. He made his debut for the club at the age of 18 in 2017. Over the last 4 years, he's been loaned out to no fewer than 4 teams, such as Cremonese, Ascoli, Genoa, etc. His loan spells at Ascoli and Genoa were considered to be fairly successful, where in 64 appearances for between the two clubs, he scored 25 goals. 41 appearances for Sassuolo last season, scoring 16 goals. He's also made 3 appearances for the Italian national team. So there's something about this player. In April of this year, he extended his contract. April of this year, not last year, this year. He extended his contract till 2026, now giving him a market value of around £25 million. So if he's only just signed his a contract extension in April, are the stories about him moving, being sold true? Anyway, couple of centre-backs for you. Yes, centre-backs. So let's get these out of the way quickly. Naif Aguerd has just been bought. And the fact that we already have 4 centre-backs at the club seems to make me think that any centre-back story is going to be just a load of guff. Anyway, let's do it for the sake of doing it, just to get them out of the way. All right, and let me qualify. I know Ogbonna and Dawson getting on a bit, last years of their contracts, etc., etc. So we are going to need replacements. But if you've already bought a Gerd, don't sell Diop. Keep him there, because I still think there's a half a decent player there anyway. Keep him there, and there's your future centre backs coming up. So Jairzinho Niamsi. All right, what about him? He's certainly an imposing centre back, and I think Moyes will be looking for replacements next summer, but not this one, for the likes of Ogbonna and Dawson. So I can't see us targeting him. So I haven't looked up anything about him. Do I know anything about him? Oh, let me see. Do I even know who he plays for? No, that's really bad of me. I kind of looked at it and I went, No, he's a centre-back. We don't need another centre-back unless we're going to get rid of 2 or 3 now. So no. And the same for this one. Papu Abu Cisse. At least I know who he plays for, Olympiacos. Again, I just don't think we're going to be looking at centre-backs again this summer. Let's move on. Here's an interesting one. Gini Wijnaldum. And after transferring to PSG from Liverpool last summer, West Ham are rumoured to be interested in this central midfielder. Someone asked me quite a while ago, why aren't we looking at any centre midfielders? Here's one. At 31 years of age, he certainly isn't the mould that David Moyes has been talking about. You know, young, hungry, Red Bull type approach of young, hungry players looking for the next challenge. But you know something? He will certainly bring an awful lot of experience. He will certainly bring an awful lot of competition between him, Declan, and Soucek. It's an interesting one, very interesting one. He's got a lot of glittering career. Dutch, French, Premier League champion, Champions League winner. He moved to Liverpool on a free transfer. He's made 38 appearances for the French club so far. But despite that, he's only made 22 starts. So it hasn't quite worked out to maybe how he wanted. But there's a lot of competition at places like PSG. So what do you expect? He'd be worth maybe anything between 10 to 15 million pounds. He's got 2 more years left on his contract at PSG. And maybe he could be someone that, you know, could be a sort of a left field signing. Christian Eriksen, we've heard, we're interested in Christian Eriksen. And according to reports, a contract offer has been made. I can't say if that's true or not. He's a free agent in a couple of days' time. And apparently he's turned down Man United and he's also turned down Spurs, apparently. And so he may be interested. He said he's interested in the project. It doesn't have to be Champions League. Christian Eriksen might look at West Ham United and say, look, you know what? You did really well the last couple of years. Maybe I can help you. Just take that next step up. All right, another player, again, who's not in the right age bracket, but at 30 years of age, he's a thinking man's Trevor Brooking, isn't he? He's very much, I mean, he'll be a player that will certainly add value to West Ham United without a shadow of a doubt. So it's interesting. I can't qualify if we have made an offer for him, but I'd like to think that we would have done. Right, next up, Okan Koku. Kochu. I don't know how you pronounce it. He's the latest name that's been linked to us. 21 years of age, versatile Feyenoord midfielder. Now, born in the Netherlands of Turkish descent, Kochu, I'm going to call him Kochu. Kochu developed through the Storm Vogels, Groningen and Feyenoord youth ranks. He has made 129 senior appearances for Feyenoord, scoring 20 goals and 22 assists. Last season, he made 51 appearances, which included games in the Europa League and the Europa Conference League. He scored 9 goals and 9 assists. He's also represented the Netherlands up to under 19 level, but he switched to Turkey for under 21 level. He's since made 16 appearances for the Turkish national squad, making his debut in September 2020. He's primarily a central midfielder who can also play in an attacking midfield role. He relishes playing in a 4-3-3 formation, but is equally adaptable in a 4-2-3-1, being the 2 central midfielders. It was difficult to determine who I should compare this player to. Initially, I thought, well, compare him to Thomas Soucek, because he'll be that sort of a bit more. He started as an attacking central midfielder, but he now plays more as a central, almost defensive type midfielder. So I thought Thomas Soucek. I spoke to Nick of Claret and Booze, and he suggested maybe he's more of a Lanzini type player. And I thought, hang on a minute, that's quite a difference between the two. So I'm not so sure. So what I've done is I've compared him to all our central midfielders. And it's quite interesting reading when you compare him to Soucek, Vlasic, Lanzini, Fornals, etc. He's got good qualities both in defence and in attacking play. You know, so ground duel success, take on success that you'd expect an attacking midfielder to have. He does well there. Chances created. He knocks spots of everybody else. He's got like about 4 times the number of chances created to everybody else. That includes Vlasic, Lanzini and Fornals. Goals, higher number of goals. Only slightly behind him is Pablo Fornals. Crossing accuracy, high level of crossing accuracy. And then ground duel success, 54%, again better. The player that comes out better defensively is Thomas Soucek. for clearances, interceptions, and so on and so forth. So he is a bit of an all-round box-to-box midfielder. He sounds really interesting. I think he's the sort of player that maybe that we should be looking out for. Valued at around £20 million, which is not a lot of money. He's still young, and he might certainly relish a move to the Premier League. Right, I'm going to finish off with one more. And that, of course, is, people have been talking about it, James Ward-Prowse. Now, it's suggested that, we're in for him. He's one of Moyes' number one targets for this summer, etc., etc. He might be one of David Moyes' number one targets, but I'm not so sure that James Ward-Prowse himself will consider him to be a target for anybody at all. He's quite settled at Southampton. He's a Southampton boy through and through, 27 years of age. He's still got 4 years left on his contract, which he only extended last summer. He's got a young family. He's very, very settled. And he believes that it's not the time for him to move on to a bigger club. If you want to consider West Ham. And is West Ham a bigger club? Yeah, maybe. Slightly bigger. Well, a bit bigger than Southampton. But he believes that maybe he's still got time in his career to have that move. Maybe next season, maybe the season after. And given the fact that he's still got 4 years left on his contract, he might even see his contract out, to take him into his early 30s. I think maybe by that time, it might be too late for him. Do we want him? Do you know what? I'm really in two minds about James Ward-Prowse, to be honest with you. He's no doubt a decent player, but I'm not so sure if he's that type of player that we need. A lot of people have been talking about, you've got your wide players who can play attacking roles, like Danjuma, Dennis, Sarr, players like that, etc. And then you've got Ward-Prowse in the middle. We've got Lanzini, we've got Fornals. Do we really need another player to be competing there? If we have really put a bid in for Eriksen, there's your set piece player as well. I'm not so sure about Ward-Prowse, to be honest with you, especially if he's being earmarked at 60, 70 million pounds. Right, that's it, people. Oh, people asked me earlier on, Danjuma or he's not in that one. Danjuma or Sarr. And I'm going to go for Danjuma. And the only reason why, I think he's got just that bit more about him. But as I said, what worries me about Danjuma is longevity. If we don't make Champions League after his first season, will he be again chomping at the bit going, I want to play for a Champions League place? He could use it. I know most players do use the team as a stepping stone to go further. He wants to prove himself in the Premier League. Absolutely. He might come back to West Ham United, do a good year, up his value again, and then maybe looking at maybe going on. But 1 year with Danjuma and Rice and a few other signings, we might be looking at Champions League. Am I deluded? Let's finish off with your comments before we bid you good night. So let's start off with, look, it's 9. I'm about 50 minutes behind on the chat, to be quite honest with you. So I'm going to scroll down and just pull out one or two. Scott B, we wouldn't moan if they got a chance to make some momentum. I think you were talking about the under 23s. And I agree with you. Andy, no youngsters want to join our academy if Moyes doesn't give anyone a chance. Well, interestingly, Andy, a lot of youngsters do join the academy because they do think that there's a big chance for them at West Ham United. That's the weird thing. We do get good youngsters coming to West Ham United. Daniel, will Alese get a chance if he isn't playing now at 21? Will he? I think Alese, he's got a couple of years left on his contract. And I think he'll go out on loan next season. Nothing on Bassi at all. Anything on it? No, haven't heard anything since a few weeks ago. Lee, let's scroll down a bit and get some more comments in. Lee, I honestly think that our young, up-and-coming youngsters are the way forward. Give them a chance. Ticks me off selling our youth, putting all that game time in and effort in. I agree. But I guess you've got to say, I know. How long ago did I make that comment? About an hour ago. I think if they're not good enough, they will go. But I agree with you. They do need to be given an opportunity to see what they can do. And the pre-season is when they've got to really try and do it. Conscious Hammer. What if the youngsters just ain't good enough? Exactly. Anyone thought about that? Moaning that Moyes doesn't give them a chance. Maybe they're just crap. Yeah, maybe they are. You know, that's the unfortunate thing. Maybe sometimes they're just not good enough. Vinay. Oh, where did Vinay's comment go? Vinay. Keep Benny even if Lingard comes. 5 subs and many competitions. I agree. I haven't got Benny in the show tonight because there's been no rumor about him over the last few weeks. So I would agree with you. Schmiegel, Sven Botman turned down a move to AC Milan to go to Newcastle. Apparently not. Apparently he's not going to Newcastle unless that's latest news that I've not been made aware of. John, 180 watching. Please hit the like button. If you're new, please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the bell notification. Thank you, Thank you, John. Much appreciated for doing my job, mate. Fresh fielder, Sean. Doig has been linked in the past. There's been a show on him. There has been a show on him. I did a show on him. And I even talked about him last week, about Doig. Interesting young player. Very interesting. Because apparently Hibernian were one of the teams rumoured to be interested in Longello. So I asked the question, if they're interested in Longello, does that mean Doig is on his way? And is he on his way over here? He's not a bad player. He's not a bad player indeed. Victor, I think Phillips will have one season at Man City and then City League go for Rice and use Phillips. Yeah, that's been mentioned before. I'm not so sure. Sean, this was done nearly an hour ago. And Nesri in the mix if we don't land Broja. Well, let's hope that that's interesting. Let's hope that we don't wait right to the last minute and then not be able to get either of them. Nick James, Sean Whetstone, ex-West Ham employee. Sean, own up, mate. Anil, Nesri over Broja would excite me more. Broja went off the ball mid-season. Do you know what? I make you right. I like Nesri. I saw enough of him to say that I thought he was not a bad player, to be quite honest with you. But this is true. And Nesri turned us down twice before, and now we bail him out. That is a good point, Troj. Yeah, very good point. Darren, Werner is decent. He has the Chelsea striker curse. Even Torres was shit when he was there from Liverpool. Good point. Maybe he could do it for us. Disabled team. For what it's worth, you're always nice to us, so happy days. Well, you know, you make my audience. So, of course, I'm going to be nice to you. And that's genuine nice as well. Dabs, if we haven't signed Lingard by the 10th of July, then I don't want him and I lose interest. I would say earlier, to be quite honest with you. I would say by the end of June, when he becomes a free agent, if we don't hear positive rumours from Lingard and his entourage within the first few days, move on. Robert, remembering that Areola was in our squad last year and we have bought a Gerd, we have lost 5 players, so meaning we have 4 players down just to say, yeah, I agree. I do agree. But I did do this. I think I did this. I mentioned it last week and I did a show on it a few weeks back, Monday Night West Ham Weekly, where I talked about the squad, you know, but you've got to be realistic. So 5 players lost. Krall hardly played. Fredericks was kind of injured and we wish him well at Bournemouth. And then David Martin, was never going to be in the first team either. So that's 3 of the 5. Krall, so that meant that it was Yarmolenko and Noble, who we really have to replace without a shadow of a doubt. Central midfielder and an attacking player that can play from the right-hand side. So I agree. Although we have lost 5 players, realistically, 3 of those 5 were never really going to be used. So 2 we definitely need to replace without a doubt. Anthony Jones. Werner works so hard and is just so unlucky in front of goal. He has hit the woodwork so many times, it's unbelievable luck. Maybe I'm being quite harsh on him. I heard a rumour Lewis put this on his way. Yeah, the guy that was saying it several times, he might be gone now, but I don't know. It may or it may not be true. I'd like it to be true, but we really don't know. What about Pulisic? I think it's a perfect Moyes player. I absolutely agree. And I talked about Pulisic about 3 weeks ago. I would love it. I think Pulisic is a class player, without a doubt. Hammer Mulder, good afternoon from a very hot LA. I hate you, Mulder. It's meant to be summer here. It's been like on and off raining today. Shit. What else have we got here? Pulisic, too good for us. NWO says, yeah, good, maybe. Pulisic, excuse me 1 second. Yeah, the missus locked herself out, so I'm back. So sorry about that. Let's see. Lanzini got a new deal. I thought it was in negotiations yet. Sean, I heard Lewis Potter was seen at the Orbit slide next to the London Stadium today. He was at the Red Hot Chili Peppers show yesterday. David M, what's the news regarding Ericsson? Just mentioned him. Sky saying it's between Man United and Brentford. Apparently, as I said, I thought he turned Brentford down. Sorry, I thought he turned Man United down. But maybe Brentford. Chelsea all the way. Chelsea all the way. 1 or 2 injuries doesn't make a player injury prone. What are people on about? Sorry, I'm so far behind in the chat. I don't know who you mean. Broja, 30 million. Keep dreaming. It sounds like you may be a Chelsea fan. Andrew, but welcome. Andrew, heard something about FIFA fair play rules today and we don't have as much money to play with. Not true. I think it goes the other way. I think it actually does us a favour. I didn't have a chance to read up on it, so I do apologise. I can't comment on it, but I will try and look it up and do a show later in the week to talk about that as well. Andrew, round would be cherry on the cake. We've been desperate for an upgrade left back for a while. Absolutely. John, Perkins very lightweight. Will be a while until he's a first teamer anyway. Exactly what I think. We have a Chelsea fan in. Rice for £30 million max. Yeah, thank you. If you're saying that, oh, mate, leave off. Anyway, let's not worry about that. Let's scroll down. Who else have we got? I love it. Rice is so overrated, but every Chelsea fan is desperate to have him back at Chelsea. So there you go. Vinay, remember the 70s and early 80s? Lots of strikes and West Ham won something. History might be repeating itself. God, mate. God, do you remember that far back? I do. I remember 3-day weeks, electricity strikes, fuel strikes when we had to have buy a whole load of candles. That's how old I am. And we won the cup in that time. Trudge, hopefully Bowen playing for England doesn't have the same effect as Antonio playing for Jamaica. No, I don't think so. Seamless. What was seamless, mate? I don't know. I've forgotten. Martin, Stell's end of the show. Ballon Dawson, if Coventry is so good, why is he in the under-21s for Ireland? The seniors are rubbish. Because he could still play for the under-21s. He has been called up to the senior team. He hasn't quite yet played, but he has been called up to the senior team. Andrew, Coventry equals Cullen, just not quite good enough for the top level. I'm still hoping for Coventry. Good evening, Mandy. God, you've joined us late. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Let's scroll down. Peter to Chelsea all the way. Shai, you're talking about him. Then don't worry about what he says. Ronda and Tony. Chelsea can pick a great player. Kevin, Mo, and Dek let go. Good work. There you go. And also Pierre Ekwa, who's in our under 23s, another defensive midfielder who they let go. Just started. You asked that at 9:32. I started at 8 o'clock, so we're 2 hours in. Well, actually 1 hour 53. So we're almost 2 hours in. You haven't missed much. I will try and give you an update, as I always do. Trudge, I thought Coventry looked bigger and stronger physically than Cullen. I think he does. I think he is. I still, but Pat, he made a good point. He's seeing them play regularly for the Irish under 21s, and he reckons that Cullen is the better player. I don't know. Mate, it's better than yours. Picaz, you guys spelt centre wrong. Who spelled centre wrong? This ain't Claret and Hugh, sorry. Oh, damn, I've written to the... gone that one, done that one. It's jumped, and I hate that. I thought this was fixed. Right. Let's go to... Bring back Tarantino now. Scott, Rice is too good for Chelsea. Should we wait for a big club? Rice is too good for Chelsea. We should wait for a big club with money to sell to. Let's scroll down. Don't worry about Chelsea all the way. He's trying to wind us up. He knows damn well. Look, Anthony, Grealish needs to improve quickly, although we'll move him on. 100 million should produce something very special. See, going to a bigger team, so-called bigger team, doesn't always make you a better player. Ryan, if Chelsea paid 70 million for Kepa, I'm sure we can milk more than 150 million for them for Rice. Good point, that. Very good point. Ballon Dawson, Couldn't believe how many empty seats there were at Stamford Bridge, League One fan base. Well, in fairness to them, that was at the time when they were sanctioned and they weren't allowed to sell any seats. So, well. Trodge, Danjuma in Champions League, he enjoys roasting top fullbacks. Wait and see the video that I did for him. Go and watch it after this show, and I think you'll enjoy it. Didn't you? Oh, you're still here. Didn't you speak about this earlier? What didn't I speak about earlier? I don't know, but I have also spoken about Lewis Park. I hope you're right, mate. I will have egg on my face if you're right that he is in Stratford, but who knows? Who knows? Darren. Moyes stroking a ring. Good Lord. I'm mentally scarred for life. What are you on? I didn't say anything like that, did I? Did I? I don't think I was. Don't think I did. Schmeigel. This is not the same Danjuma that was at Bournemouth. He's improved a lot since then. He absolutely has. Raspadori, I'm sorry. I ran out of time. I didn't do anything about Rasputin. Why is he leaving a team that got to the semi-final of Champions League? Oh, I forgot to add that because they finished 7th in the league, in the Spanish league, so they don't have any. They don't have any European football next season. They might be in Europa Conference League. Might be. I'm not so sure how it works for them. That's why. That's what worries me about him because he classes himself as a Champions League footballer. He's good. Danjuma, don't get me wrong, he is. But yeah, they finished 7th in the Spanish league. So maybe he might think that West Ham are the better project. Who knows? Andrew, I think Bowen is capable of getting 10 to 15 goals this season. I think he'll go up a level, 100% on the plane to Qatar. I hope so. I really do. Sean, Danjuma played very well against us in the Betway Cup final a few years back. Should have snapped him up when we had an opportunity. Moyes will do an Arnie on him, turn him into a striker. I kind of agree with you there. Hammerette, if we'd have got Broja for 30 mil, then we would have if we could have got Broja for 30 million, we'd make a good return on him in a couple of years. I still think 30 million is still a lot for him, but not bad. Broja looks like it could handle a flogging. Broja looks like he could handle a flogging. I don't know where you're going with that. Darren, Scamacca sounds like a bad skin condition. I'm catching up, thank goodness. Vinay, Broja should eat Mars bars in. Broja should eat Mars bars in from. Broja should eat Mars bars from Tuchel. So let him move to West Ham. I totally didn't get that. Clarence Booth, still, you should have known your Chelsea dates. I mean, you live in Mayfair and pretty much on the doorstep of Stamford Bridge. Yeah, sure I do. Sure I do. You keep saying that. People are going to end up believing it. It's not Mayfair. It's Barron's Court. Anil, Scamacca and Raspadori sounds like Bond villains. Scamacca. Apache. 40 million fee equals Sullivan will bid 40 Satsumas for Danjuma. I don't know how true the actual bid is, even if it is true. Ian Smith, my friend is a Southampton supporter who says Broja will be the real deal. However, he tells me that we can take Ward-Prowse for nothing, not rated in his opinion. Ward-Prowse doesn't want to go. Matthew Korkmazer, good evening to you. It's a new name. And welcome to the channel. I think we should really go for Dennis as well. I like Dennis. I must admit, I like Dennis and I like Sarr. And I don't think that would be money badly spent. I think they're both really, really decent players. And I think we will really do well to get them. I agree with you, Matthew. Andrew, Broja is a good player, but his form fell off a cliff second half of the season. Hope we don't waste too much time trying to get him, only to miss out on other targets. Mandy, Jesse has to have a value of around 30 million. At minimum, as he is weight. Well, he's free, so he's not going to cost us anything. He'll get a signing on fee, and that'll be about it. Let's scroll down. Garino finally found someone who pronounced Sassuolo relatively correctly. Well done, Still. My ex-wife is Italian, so I can pronounce all the Italian. It's any other. I can do French, not bad. Italian, not a problem. I spoke a little bit of Italian. That's the only reason why I could do it, Garino. Hammerette, I'm not believing anything about Lingard and his apparent not wanting to join us or wages. Let's see what he says if and when he signs. In 3 days' time, I think we'll be a little bit wiser as to what Lingard wants to do. Mandy, I've read it again. I'm not going to spend too much time on him. I'm guessing that's Lingard. Vinay, make Lingard sweat. He will realise that no one out there will give him. This is basically what I was saying earlier on. I think Lingard has got to come to us and tell us what he realistically thinks he's worth, every week, etc. Sean, doubt it. The only chance would be sorting a deal out double quick before his preferred destinations. Have time to make sales to fund their move. Are you talking about Lingard again? I'm not sure. Luca Peluaku, can you be my worst nightmare? It'd just be my worst nightmare. Good evening to you, Nigel. Have I missed the truth around Lingard? Let me. Well, I'll tell you what I've been told. Shall I repeat it for you? Apparently, look, first of all, just repeat, 180 grand, if it really is 180 grand, is including signing on fee, which is spread over the time of, apparently he wants £2 million. He wants his signing on fee to split over each year of the length of the contract, minimum £2 million. So you got that. And apparently it ain't 180 grand. Apparently we haven't approached him. Look, you know all this, Nigel. Why am I actually repeating it to you? Andy, we want a decent left back, not a cheapie. Well, you know what? All the left backs that we've been linked to so far aren't kind of too bad, to be honest with you. Hickey sounds pretty decent. A few others sound pretty decent, Ram sounds pretty decent as well. Darren, get him to change his name to Luca Pepperoni. He can play in the... It'd be funny if Masuaku at the base stats. I proved he has not. John, good night. Thank you. I don't know why, but anyway. Martin, anyone looking for a holiday read? A Season with Verona is a good read. Highly recommended. There you go. There we go. Going up a notch here. Ballon, I know Ogbonna has been fantastic, but do players from Italy tend to do well in our league? Well, I think he's done very well, don't you? I prefer the French league players, which is... you're talking about the other Italian player. I thought you were talking about Ogbonna. Sorry, I put 2 and 2 together and made up 5. We've had a few sort of players from Italy and they haven't done... You're absolutely right. Apart from one player who we had, Paolo someone or other, he was all right, wasn't he? Sean, Moisey's stuck on page 1 of his contact books. We've signed out Gerd and Areola. Anything can happen once he gets to the beach. Scamaccia's a good player. I'm going to have to look a bit more into him. David, I don't think West Ham are ever going to buy a quality player on a free because naturally the player wants excessive wages. Yeah, you go, Andrew. Di Canio wasn't too bad. Ballon Dawson. Di Canio had a time in Britain before he came. Belotti. I don't know. No, honestly, do you know what? All this Belotti stuff. No. Belotti, Balotelli, Biggins. We've gone from the Italian to the Irish, which is fair enough. John, nice to meet you. Okay, I have to buy any clothes. You have free breakfast, lunch, and dinner. 2 honey. Cheers, John. I'll tell you what, Hammerette, let's put him in timeout. Let's not delete him. Let's just put him in timeout. Martin, centre backs are like a good wine. They get better with age. Yeah, true. That is true. Darren, Wijnaldum is like 200 years old. Wijnaldum would be quality. Wijnaldum, a very good player, in my opinion. I think he is. Andrew, he actually disappears into who does? Biggins does, apparently. Yes, he is 6'5", but so what? Don't buy Ericsson. His heart is not... Andrew, no, Wijnaldum is too slow. For a defensive midfielder, come on. I mean, he played for Liverpool and they won the Champions League. So slow. I'd take him any day. To be quite, I actually would take Wijnaldum, to be honest with you. I'm not sure that will go for him, but anyway. Nigel, Chris Ericsson would look at West Ham and say, fuck off. Wow, would he? I don't know. Let's scroll down. It ain't cockchew, Nick. It ain't cockchew. Vino, Okan Koshu is a poor man's Benrahma. Why get him? Because he plays in a completely different position. He's more in the central. I don't care what Nick from Claret and Booth says. He's a central midfielder. He's not an attacking midfielder. I don't know though. What do I know? Matthew Koshu is as a Turkish hammer. I would love to see him play for us. See, I love this because everyone looks like an Orcan. He does not look like an Orcan. What does an Orcan look like? I've no idea. Trudge, I checked out this Koshu on YouTube and it looks like Messi the way he runs. Then I realized you learn nothing from YouTube highlights. Are you sure he just doesn't look messy the way he runs? I thought he sounded like a decent player, to be honest with you. Mandy, we have the Italian Masuaku, now the Turkish Vlasic. Pat, I'm wasted here. Don't worry, so are we. So are we all. Fresh fielder to Amaret. Father arrested for breaking into Roma's car park. Has smashed up several cars with 9-bar. Sure there was one involving fire. Who are you talking about? Are we in another... I don't know who are you talking about, Sean? And how do you know this sort of information? Nick from Claret and Boost. Stats don't give you the full profile of a player still. Yeah, well, you wouldn't know because you don't do stats at all. If only you did, Nick, you learned a bit of something. Andy, I compared him to my nan who had a high percentage of Trudge. JWP is the Peter Pan of football. He never grows up. What else we got? Lee, as long as they give 100% and they're all for the club and shirt, it's good for me. Don't forget, Moyes keeps cards close to his chest. No leaks from the club. In Moyes we try. Good point. No leaks from the... well, you're not talking about a leak we eat, but I know what you mean. But you're absolutely right. It is the fucking happy hour, isn't it? It gets to that point. When I do my shows, when we've hit like the 2-hour mark, all of a sudden things just go a little bit nuts, don't they? Anyway, JWP is a stupid link. Huge fee, not happening. Fake news, like the bids for Phillips and Rafinha. There you go, Belon Dawson. There you go. Oops. Let's go back up a little bit. Where did that go? Where's that comment? It can't be that far up. I must have missed it. Bear with me. I've got to find that. There it is. There it is. Trudge. Some bloke's friend told me his mate said he supports Southampton. He isn't worth nothing. So for that reason, I'm out. Good evening, Pat Holland fan. Good morning from the Oz. Hope you're... I'm very well and thank you for joining me. Pine Mash. Why would you be in two minds? His quality in possession, loves to tackle, great design. Who? I've lost... Are we talking about Ward-Prowse? Because Ward-Prowse doesn't want to leave Southampton. It's as simple as that. So we're not going to get him. And so it doesn't matter. JWP is coming in. Get used to it. Means someone is being sold. Get used to it. He's not going anywhere. Schmiegel, Danjuma for me as well. He's a better player than Sarr in my opinion. I like Sarr and I like Dennis. And like I said earlier, if we get both, I would be quite happy with that, to be quite honest with you. I really would. Sean, Areola, Agerd, Raum, Gallagher, Danjuma, Scamacca, for God's sake. Job done. Nick at the Claret and Booze. Danjuma was a bit of a flop at Bournemouth in the Premier League, great in the Championship. But since then, mate, he smashed it. And if you actually looked at his stats, you'd know that. And then you go and look at his scouting report, and you'd know that too. So there you go. Let's scroll down. Daniela, clubs are now using the youth setup to raise funds. Well, Chelsea have been. I thought there's a stop to that, wasn't there? Anthony, a new vision, Moyes in a cave, just wearing his pants, striking a 100k watch, saying... That's funny. Alfie, still my boys, season finally coming through. It is. We're only 6 weeks away. Fuck you know. Oh, even my lighting's going off now. That's how long I've been on for. I'm not going to read that, Nick. All right, I will. Danjuma in the Premier League. Who cares, Nick? You know, that was 4 seasons ago. Mate, stop it. Read up his scouting details and you'll know an awful lot better. Hammer it. Shouldn't be unkind. He is still a hammer regardless of talent. Feels slightly bad now. Who are you feeling with? I've lost track of this chat. Ryan, Doiger's overrated. Far too many defensive. Really? Okay. Dabs, I'm happy Moyes is giving Longello and Ashby an opportunity with the first team. He always does that. You know, all the under 20. Look, my lighting's gone. All the a lot of the under 23s do train with the senior squad in pre-season. So let's hope some of them get through. Martin, you're going. I was on an hour earlier for you, so you can get through the show. But good night to you as well, mate. Good morning to you. One saying good night. Good morning, Kieran. Hope you're well, mate. Thank you for joining. What am I up to? 10. Jesus Christ. I'm still half an hour behind on the chat. I've got to scroll down. I'm sorry, people. Darren, Stella's Jurassic. He still reads books by candlelight. If I'm not careful, I'll be needing candles for the. Hang on a minute. Let's. That's not a lot better, but it's slightly better. Still, what about mate Dabs? I talked about him 2 hours ago. I talked about Warburton literally 2 hours ago. What else we got here? Good evening, Ahus. Good evening, Kenneth. How are you? I hope you're well. I haven't seen you for a while, and I hope you're very well, mate. Sean, we have scouts at Needham Market. OV7 Ipswich game at the weekend. Scout an 18-year-old midfielder, Tawanda Chirewa. Hope they took a look at Wolfenden. How do you know all this, Sean? Sean, we're going to have a chat. I'm going to have get you to do some of my... seriously, I'm actually not kidding. I've met Sean. He's a lovely guy. Very nice guy. But I'm going to need to find out how you know all this stuff. And I want you to start... I'm going to have to do a deal. If you can start sending me stuff, I'll include it. You and Ken Hammer. I mean, the information, I mean, knock spots off me. I mean, I just read the stuff, but you guys just know it. Anyway, good evening, Dave Trevitt. How are you? Chelsea are the Cockney Man new. Don't worry about Chelsea. Garino. Can't trust Chelsea on views on players. Their track records include Lukaku, Salah, KDB, Rice. Yeah, exactly. God, imagine, Kenneth, when we buy players, we should look to buy top 6 players, not players from... No, I don't know about that, Kenneth, to be quite honest with you. Bowen, Soucek, Soufal, a few other players like that. They've done all right for us, and they didn't come from big teams, to be honest. And the trouble is, with the big teams, they charge a lot of money. Joachim Mahler, talked about him a few weeks ago. Interesting. Now, look on that. Look, Kenneth is from the Scandinavian. Forgive me, Kenneth. I can't remember what country, but Kenneth will know about Scandinavian players. A lot of fans were saying Mahler is awful, and the other fans are saying Mahler is really good. What's your view on him? But I'm guessing if you're saying hope we to take him, I'm guessing you think that he's a decent player. Black Country, great. Good night, Black Country. Thank you for joining, mate. Really much appreciated. Hammerette. Just had something come up. Apparently, Macavenia said we're in for £6 million. No, it's already been confirmed. We've got no sell-on clause at all for him. So, unfortunately, not true. Steve, it's time to move on from Lingard. I think in 3 days' time, it'll be time to move on from Lingard. I agree with you, mate. Good evening to you, Jason. Quite a lot of people joining late. Thank you for joining late. Much appreciated. Take a look at Mar. We've done that one. Let's scroll down. Steve. Some West Ham YouTube channels were doing shows on Saturday saying breaking news, Lingard has signed, mugged themselves off. Wait till a player signs on the old dot. Don't listen. Don't just subscribe to people. I'll always tell you the truth. Well, as true as I know. So I don't come out with all this. We're definitely going to sign. I always speculate. Never say it's absolutely 100%. Don't watch those channels, I say. Steve. Oh, no, not Steve. Done that one. Repeat the Lingard story, please, Stel. Not everybody's heard it. I'll go. I'm going to do a brief rundown in a minute. Do we need change our wage structure because our ambition of it? I think that's coming. I'm not sure it's going to happen just yet. Daniela, happy Pride Month to the LGBTQ hammers and supporters. Happy Pride Month, Daniela. Absolutely fantastic shout out that is. Who else we got? Let's scroll down. Vinay, let's get your comments up. Will Lingard age like a wine or vinegar? A 4-year deal could be a mistake. Oh, I doubt we give him 4 years, but I don't know. We do silly things at times, don't we? saying goodbye to Martin. Believe Lingard has only got 2 starts since returning to Manure. It is something like that. Absolutely right. Let's scroll down a bit more. Right. Sean. It was Scamaccia's estranged father who broke in. It was Scamaccia's estranged father who broke into Roma's car park, smashed it up with an iron bar, got arrested and sent for psychological evaluation. It's the West Ham way. Fucking hell. Jesus. Darren, reading the comments in this chat was like tripping on mushroom. I'm glad you said it, mate. We do have some weird things that come out, you know. Andrew, Watford fans say Sarr and Dennis, good players, but have suspect poor attitudes, won't pass Moyes' due diligence test. I'm not so sure, do they? Maybe they just got attitude because they weren't playing for a very good team. NWO, think I might watch Lord of the Rings now. Not sure why. See, it is odd. Stranger things happen. Oh, Stranger Things. It's back on again. If any of you are into it, it's fantastic program. Dylan Clark, fresh in, still out, mate. I'll tell you what, he knocks spots. The info he has, I'm going to message you, Sean. Dylan, apparently Lingard has his flat. He does have his flat still in Stratford. That is true. That I can confirm. Gaza, good evening to you, mate. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. What else have we got here? Costa might be. Stop it, Kevin. Costa. No, stop it. Hammer it. Please all like this channel tonight. Thank you. Thank you very much. Subscribe. Yeah, please do subscribe. That would be fantastic for me. I'd love you to subscribe. Hit the bell notification. Hit the like button and all that sort of stuff. Thank you, Hammer it. I appreciate that. Good evening to you, Hillel Levy. Is it Hillel Levi? Hello, Stel. How's it going? I'm very well. Do we sell Masuaku yet? No, unfortunately not, mate. But apparently we're in for an Italian version of Masuaku. Let's go. I'm done. Oh, thank God for that. Right. Let me do a really, really, really quick summary of the show. And trust me, it will be quick. So, what did we start? Well, we started at the evening of talking about Areola. 5-year deal, not before time. Fantastic news. Second signing in second week in succession. Let's wait for the next one, shall we? And hopefully that will come pretty soon. Talked about Declan, and here we go again. Apparently, we're going to be offered, Barkley and his one-legged dog for Declan plus, a fiver. Let's forget about that, shall we? The pre-season started. The players went in pre-season, etc., getting all their tests done to see how they fared over the summer. Collins, who's the head of medical services, was showing Warburton around pre-season yesterday as well. Mark Warburton, first team coach, fantastic signing for us. A wealth of experience, having managed all the teams that he's managed, QPR, Brentford, etc., etc. I think that's a class signing for West Ham United. 2 loan player. Well, I don't know why I put that in there. I forgot to take it out. Here's our confirmation of pre-season, starting off in Geneva. Playing Servette on the 5th of July. Then we've got Ipswich and Boreham Wood and Reading, and then going up to Rangers, back down to Luton, and then we finish off at Lens because we do not have the Betway Cup this season at the stadium because the stadium won't be ready in time. And then we talked about players maybe leaving. Vlasic going to Torino. They want him on loan, but we want to sell him. So there's still negotiations going on there. Then there's this impasse with Thomas Soucek and his contract. And apparently there's rumour out that even if we get 25 million, we'll sell him. I don't believe that for a minute. I think 35 million, but I would rather that we keep him. And then, of course, we talked about Manuel Lanzini. I know he wants to go to River Plate, but when he ends his career, not now. And there's talk about opening talks about his 2-year option on his contract. So hopefully that will happen. And then King Arthur. Will he stay? Will he go? 3 different stories in a week. One story was that he's definitely staying. One story is that he will be sold. And another story is that we will buy out his contract. Believe what you want. I don't know. And I kind of worked out buying out his contract would cost us about, I don't know, £5 or £6 million. Do we want to do that? Or do we want to try and sell him? You make your own minds up. And then we went on to the under-23s, the Papa John Trophy. I can't remember who they're playing now. MK Dons, Colchester or Cambridge or someone else. But anyway, they're in the Papa Don's trophy. And Nathan Holland, a prospect that we thought we were going to, was going to come through really, really well. Unfortunately, a couple of loan spells, and he's now moved permanently to the MK Dons. He was at the end of his contract anyway. And we stayed with the under-23s and talked about some of them. And look, Sonny Perkins, people have told me he's got 1 year left. If anyone can tell me if that's true or not, I don't know. 1 year left apparently on his contract, and he's trying to get a big money, and West Ham United are not having it. And I talked about other players, other young players that left West Ham that didn't necessarily do so well. So I think Perkins should knuckle down. Yeah, okay, you've made a couple of senior appearances. That doesn't make you great overnight. He's got a long way to go, and I hope we can sort something out. But if he wants to leave, then we're going to have to let him leave. Connor Coventry, who knows what will happen to him? He's had 2 good pre-seasons in the last 2 years. Another good pre-season, maybe, just maybe, plus the fact that he did really well for MK Dons in the second half of last season, might just make him a contender for senior squad place. Emmanuel Angelo, left back, is apparently alongside Harrison Ashby. Apparently, Moyes is going to look at them quite critically throughout pre-season, and they might be able to stake a claim in the senior squad. And then Armstrong Okoflex, which is a strange story. In January, a lot of teams were after him. They wanted to take him on loan. Scottish Premier League teams wanted him, and a few Championship teams did as well. And we said no. And now apparently these stories are coming back that maybe Okoflex might go, but this time might go on a permanent. I don't believe that's true. He's only got 1 year left on his contract. I think we're going to see Okoflex certainly be one of those players that might sort of break through into the senior squad next season. Talked about Areola, talked quite a lot about Danjuma. When you finish this show, do look at my other video. I put a video out about him earlier today, showing his skills, a lot of detail about him, a few video clips, etc., etc. So do go and look for that. I like him. I would certainly have him without a doubt. Amanda Brozier, like we've all said, I really, really hope we don't wait to the last moment to try and get this player. I really hope if Chelsea muck us around, let's move on to the next target. Jesse Lingard, I know we've heard this story many, many a time, but there you go. Now, the rumour is, right, for those who haven't heard it, the rumour is that we haven't gone and offered him a big deal. Basically, the deal that we were talked about with him some time ago is still there. Jesse Lingard and his entourage have got to come to West Ham United and tell us what they really think he's worth. Any deal, any sort of weekly salary will include his signing on fee incorporated into that. 180 grand? I'm not so sure, to be quite honest with you. And then we went through a couple of other players that were apparently linked with. Simeone, he's about to sign, or he's signed a permanent deal with Verona. Forget him. I don't think there's any rumour in that. Luca Pellegrini sounds like the Italian Arthur Masuaku. And we did a few sort of comparison stats of him, Creswell and Masuaku. Scamacca, I don't know enough about him, to be honest with you. I'm going to have to look into him a bit more. And then we had 2 centre-backs, Jairzinho Niamzi and Papa Abu Cisse. Why would we be looking for centre-backs? All right, I know that we've got 2 centre-backs who are ageing in the last years of their contracts, but I think having signed the Gerd, I don't think we'll be looking at any more centre-backs again. Gini Wijnaldum, now I think he would be a very good signing for West Ham. Hasn't quite worked out for him at PSG. He's still a class player. He's still got a couple of years left on his contract. 10 to 15 million pounds might get him. And then Christian Eriksen, apparently we've made an offer for him. Who knows? Don't know what to believe. I like him. I'd like to get Eriksen in. Okan Kökçü, I think sounds like an interesting player, but you lot have told me otherwise. And we did a comparison of him compared to Thomas Soucek, Vlasic, etc., etc. And then Ward-Prowse. Apparently Ward-Prowse is settled. He doesn't want to necessarily leave Southampton. He doesn't necessarily want to go to a bigger team. He sees himself at Southampton for a couple of years left. That's it, people. That's my show. 2 hours, 24 minutes. I hope you've all enjoyed it. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for commenting. What was a good pronunciation? I don't say, all right, I don't know, mate. I've lost track of who I've talked about. Howard, great show. Much thank you for that, Sean. 100 likes achieved. Thank you. Some proper laugh moments always are. I really love you do throw me with some of your comments. Gaza, you're better by yourself on this channel still. Much. Thank you, Gaza. I really appreciate that as well. Andrew, great show. Gaza, I'm drunk on a school night. Oh dear, mate. Tut tut. Everyone is saying goodbye to everyone. Good evening to it. Good night to everyone, etc., etc. Sean, Papa Busisi, Keen Lewis Potter, 6 players for the price of 2. Very funny. Gaza, can't wait for season beginning. Getting sick of the misses. Mark, oh, you are still here. What a show tonight. Must be one of the longest in the chat. That was so good. Great Monday night. It only make it because you guys get involved. Chris Lockwood, good show. Thank you very much. Brilliant. Thank you, Hammerette. James Bong, thank you, mate. Have a wonderful evening. Have a great week ahead. I'm sure we're going to have another signing coming up very, very soon. It's going to happen, isn't it, West Ham United? You know, got the pre-season now to look forward to, and it's going to be great. Thank you all for watching. Have a good night. Have a good week. Look out for that Danjuma video I did, and look out for more pre-recorded shows that I'll put out. I really appreciate it if you get to watch those as well. Have a good night. Have a good week, and I'll see you soon.